24-year-old copyright analyst Lydia Velasquez is suing her former friend, 22-year-old car salesman Shannon Sieber, for his share of a trip to Spain. Shannon claims Lydia offered to pay.
This is case number 101 on the calendar in the matter of Velasquez versus Sieber. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
Ms. Velasquez, Mr. Sieber was a friend of yours, and you claim that he owes you for some expenses from a trip to Spain that you took with him.
That's correct.
Or that he took with you. Mr. Sieber says there was never any agreement to pay you back any of the money you expended on his behalf, while acknowledging that you did spend money on him for plane tickets and some hotel expenses. Is that right, Mr. Sieber?
That's correct.
Okay. So let me turn to you first. I'd like you to tell me something about yourself.
Okay. I'm from Manassas, Virginia. I met Lydia in New York.
I didn't ask you where you met her. I asked you something about yourself.
Something about myself.
Yeah. First, why don't you tell me how old you are?
I'm 22 years old.
And what do you do for a living?
I sell cars.
And how long have you been selling cars?
For about 8 months now.
Is that what you want to be, a car salesman when you grow up?
No, but it pays well.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Own my own business.
What kind of business?
Maybe a daycare.
A daycare?
Yeah.
You like children?
Love children.
Why do you think that you have what it takes to guide young children into maturity? Stand up straight. First, the first thing you have to know is that you don't have to lean on anything.
Yes.
A table, a woman, anything. So what I want you to tell me, Mr. Sieber, is, since your life's ambition is to own a daycare.
Yeah.
Yes, try yes.
Yes.
That's the first thing you have to do with children, teach them how to speak. And since that is probably one of the most laudable professions to guide children, I want you to explain to me what personality traits you believe you have that would qualify you to guide the future of America. Now, I want you to think about that, Mr. Fastmouth, before you answer my question. Because I want you to think of what it is. Because as you see from this little repartee that we're having between us, I can swallow you up alive. We understand each other?
Oh, we understand each other.
Very good. So I want you to think very carefully, Smarty Mouth, why you believe that you can, with your talents and what those talents and moral qualities that you have are, to guide the children who are the future of America.
Because I'm consistent and committed.
Committed to what?
Committed to be able to learn whatever I have to learn to be able to teach children.
Okay. Now let's talk about your moral qualifications. You sell cars?
Yes.
Did you ever exaggerate to somebody when you sold them a car?
No.
Never?
No.
So when you're negotiating with somebody, you're always right up front. When you say, listen, my manager won't let me take a penny less than for this car, and I'm going to give up most of my commission so that you can have this car, because I want you to have this car.
Of course.
That's totally honest.
Oh, yeah.
Never said anything that wasn't true.
No, ma'am.
Okay. I want you to do this for me, Mr. Sieber. When you open up your daycare center,
Yes, ma'am.
let me know where it is.
Okay.
When did you take this trip with Miss Velasquez?
We took it March 31st.
And how long did you go for?
6 days.
Who went, Mr. Sieber?
Myself and Lydia.
Just the two of you?
Yes, ma'am.
And I assume, Miss Velasquez, from reading your papers, that you had a little bit of a crush on him.
I did.
Now, what makes you think, Mr. Sieber, that even though Miss Velasquez had a crush on you, she was going to pay for your tickets?
Well, when I got the call early in February, and she asked me to take the trip with her, I told her that I would take the trip. She said that she would cover the flight expense if I would go with her. When we got over there, the first night that we were there, advances were made, and I told her I wasn't looking for anything further. And after that happened, we got back to Northern Virginia. I started getting calls. She wanted money. So, because the advances were denied, she decided she wanted payment.
Why did you go with her, Mr. Sieber?
Because I liked her as a friend.
Did you tell her that?
Yes.
Well, tell me what you said to her.
Exactly that.
Let me hear.
I like you as a friend.
When did you tell her that?
Many times. In New York, when I was with her, over the phone.
When she called and asked you to go to Europe with her, did she say why she wanted you to go to Europe with her?
No.
All right, now I'll hear you, Miss Velasquez.
Thank you.
When did you call him?
I didn't call him, actually. He had called me. We initially met, and we went on a really nice romantic first date. We kept in touch. My sister got sick. He was calling to ask me about her. And through the course of the conversation, towards the end of the conversation, I had told him about a trip that I was planning for myself. I thought planning a trip for myself and going to Spain was really what I wanted to do. Then Shannon had called me. He's very charming on the phone, and he expressed his interest in coming with me.
No, just not expressing it. What did he say, if you remember?
He said, would you mind if I came with you? And I said, yeah, no, that's great. I was excited about the fact that he wanted to go with me on a trip.
Now let's get to the tickets.
Sure. He had said if you can find a ticket for around $400 that he'd go ahead and, pay me for that. So the next day I did a vigorous search. I'm pretty good at the internet, and I found tickets. I had called him up and I told him how much the ticket was going to be. It was around $444. And he had said, that's fine. And I said, well, I already put the hotels, so you can just pay me half for the hotels. We can split that and then just pay me back for the flight. And he said that he would pay me back the full amount. When we got to Spain, he paid me $300 in cash, and he...
Oh, Mr. Sieber, how come you gave her $300 in cash, sir?
Oh, that was for the hotel.
You gave her $300 and said...
And he said, on April 18th, I will send you the remaining balance. So I had thought that he was going to pay me once he got back home. We had a good time. I realized, though, when we got there, his attitude towards me changed. Before that, the phone conversations were great. He was saying, oh, you're so cute, and I'm listening to your CD right now because I sing or whatnot, and you're making me smile and all this charming baloney. And I fell for it. I fell for it like I would. But when we got there, though, his attitude changed towards me. He all of a sudden was cold, distant, and it seemed like I was irritating to him.
The bloom was off the road.
It was.
Okay, fine.
It fell down and someone squished it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Lydia Velasquez says former friend Shannon Sieber owes for a trip to Spain. Shannon claims Lydia is upset that he only wants to be friends.
All right. $444 was the plane ticket, is that right?
Correct.
And then there was some expenses for the hotel.
Correct, because we were there for 5 days and 4 nights.
And you are asking for $350, which is less than the cost of the ticket, so your $300, sir, paid portion of the plane ticket. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Look at that. You paid part of the plane ticket and you didn't even know it.
That's great.
Mr. Sieber, you look like a sweet young man. You're 22 years old, so I will attribute some of what you say to me today as being words from somebody who is not yet fully cooked. Just starting to shave and just starting to feel yourself. So I want you to understand something. You're supposed to have a reasonable moral compass. You're not supposed to toy with somebody else's affections. And I think that you're a smart aleck enough to know that by going to Spain with her, you were toying with her affections. You're not supposed to do that. It's unkind. And should you find yourself at the other end of this affection stick at some point in your life, I guarantee you won't like it. But I've been around long enough, Mr. Sieber, to know that what goes around comes around. And it may not come around today, it may not come around tomorrow. But if you're not nice to people, eventually it's going to come back and bite you in the behind. We understand each other?
Clearly.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $350. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It's just sad when friends have to start suing each other.
I'm just happy that I'm going to actually get my money back.
It was never a relationship to begin with. It was all made up in our mind.
I might have been misled by him.
It was made very clear before we left it was what it was. There's going to be nothing more.
Not the person that I thought he was.
She's a nice lady.
He's just being rude.
We were only friends, and that's all it would ever be.
We're not friends anymore.
Is suing his ex-girlfriend, Kim Hicks, and her son, 15-year-old Wendell Hicks, for medical bills resulting from a fistfight with Wendell. Wendell says Jeff had been spreading rumors about him and a female friend.
Yeah, this is case number 275 in the case of Radcliffe versus Hicks. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
Mr. Radcliffe, you and this lady, Miss Hicks, had been involved in a relationship. And according to your complaint, there was an altercation where you came to her rescue. She was having an altercation with her son, I assume this young man. As a result of that, you were injured, and Miss Hicks agreed to pay your medical bills. She has not done so. You are no longer a couple, and you want your medical bills paid. Ms. Hicks says that you were the aggressor in this altercation with her son. She is suing you for damaging her home, and for injuring her son. Is that right?
Correct.
When did this take place, Mr. Radcliffe?
It was July 8th, 2003.
Tell me how it started.
Well, we received a phone call at the house.
Who's we?
My son and I.
Who answered the phone?
My son. And
Step up. I wasn't saying hello. I was telling you to stand up. Tell me your name.
Alex Ratcliffe.
Alex, did you receive a phone call on the 8th of July?
Yes, I did.
Who was on the other end of the phone?
Initially, I heard Kim screaming in the background.
Kim, is that you? Miss Hicks.
Miss Hicks. I initially heard her screaming in the background, but Wendell was talking to me, and he asked to speak to my father. And when I went to go give my dad the phone, I heard her in the background screaming for help and asking for my dad.
You went and got your father?
Yes, I went and got my dad and gave him the phone.
What happened when you picked up the phone? Who was on the other end?
it was Wendell Hicks on the phone indicating he was coming to my house to kick my butt, him and 4 boys, because I was supposedly spreading rumors about him and some girl in the neighborhood.
So he said he was coming to your house?
Yes. And he hung up. I returned the phone call back. You could still hear Kim hollering and screaming bloody murder in the background.
What did you hear?
She was just screaming for help.
Well, what did you actually hear her say?
For Wendell to leave her alone.
Okay.
And when the phone call came, I called back because he had hung up, and I'd asked for him to explain himself. For why is he coming to my house? He said it was due to because I supposedly spread some rumor about him putting a hickey on the neighbor girl's neck. And so I asked to speak to his mom because I could hear her in the background just screaming bloody murder, and so he hung up the phone. And so I felt the need to go there because she had explained to me many times before.
Just a second. Don't tell me what she explained to you before. Tell me what happened when you got there. You felt the need to go over there.
I went over there, I knocked on the door, and the boy had let me in. I come in the door, and
Which boy let you in?
Wendell Hicks let me in.
Go ahead.
He opened the door, let me in, and I come through the door, and to the right of me was 2 friends of hers in the house. And Wendell proceeded to go back around the corner where he had his mom pinned in the corner, and she was screaming.
How was she pinned in the corner?
Just backed up to the corner.
Okay, he didn't have his hands on her.
Yeah, he was right up in her face.
No, but he didn't have his hands on her.
Not at this time.
Okay, so what did you do?
I come up around him, come around the countertop there, and told him to leave her alone. He turned and swung at me and hit me in my left ear with his right arm. At that time, I took him down to the ground and set on him. And he kept trying to hit me in the face, and I grabbed his wrists to avoid him hitting me. I was sitting on him, and I kept asking, "Are you finished? Is this out of you?" And he said, "Yes." On top of him saying a lot of other foul things, how he was going to shoot me and my kids, and he was going to kill my dogs and burn my fence down. And after about 15, 20 minutes of trying to calm him down, I asked him, "Are you finished?" And finally he said, "Yes." I got up, we kind of shook it off, and the next thing I know, he's coming charging at me with a windmill effect. And in doing so, I put him in a headlock, like with his body sticking out this way, and I wrenched up on him to keep him from doing any more damage. And in doing so, I separated this cartilage here in my chest.
Mm-hmm.
And probably another 15, 20 minutes to hold him like that. A few other cuss words were coming out, and I asked, "Are you finished?" And finally he said yes. His sister come through the door after I just let him go, and she backed him all the way down the hall, and that was the last I'd seen of him.
Okay. How long had you been seeing his mother in July of 2003?
Approximately a year.
And after July of 2003, did you continue to see her?
Not right away. She kept calling, complaining because I would never take her nowhere, never do nothing with her, never let her meet any of my friends. I told her to go find another boyfriend. And so it's like, it was no big deal to me, and she did. She found another one. She kept calling me, telling me how the progress was going. Finally, after about a couple of weeks, she broke it up with him for whatever reason. Then she eventually started calling me all the time.
When did you stop seeing her?
As of this year of May, Mother's Day weekend.
And when did you start getting these bills?
I was getting these bills probably 6 months after the incident had happened. You know, she said she was going to take care of it because her son had done some damage to my fence back in June. She took care of that immediately. She said she'd take care of these medical bills as well because
When did she tell you she was going to take care of the medical bills?
Pillow talk. It was when we were, you know.
And you believed her?
Oh, yeah. I had no doubt to.
Okay. How old are you, Wendell?
I'm 15.
Who was this girl that you supposedly gave a hickey to?
Emily.
Is Emily your girlfriend?
No.
Did you give her a hickey?
Yes.
So why were you angry at Mr. Radcliffe for telling people that you gave Emily a hickey?
Because he was spreading rumors around the trailer court, and I had
Spreading rumors about what?
About me giving her hickeys and a bunch of other stuff.
Well, it wasn't a rumor about you giving her a hickey. According to you, you gave Emily a hickey.
Yeah, I did.
You did? Okay, so why did you call him that day? Were you just angry?
Yeah, I was mad that he was spreading my family business around the trailer court.
Okay, so when you called him, his son answered the phone?
Yes.
And what did you say to his son?
I asked to talk to his dad.
What did you say to him?
I was like, Jeff, why are you spreading rumors around?
And what did he say to you?
He's like, what in the F are you talking about?
And what did you say to him?
I was like, about me and Emily. And he was like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. So he hung up with me. So I went back to my mom's house and I asked her why. She told him because it was supposed to stay between me, Emily, and Emily's stepdad.
Because Emily's stepfather was angry with you?
Yeah.
Okay. So you went home and you confronted your mother?
Yes.
And you were angry with your mother for telling him
Yes.
things? And then did you call Mr. Radcliffe back?
He called me back.
While you were confronting your mother?
Yes.
And when you were confronting your mother, were you raising your voice?
No.
No. Did your mother admit to you that she had shared your secret with Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
And you told her she had no business doing that?
Yes.
You see how we get into the story?
Did very good.
It's a whole different story than she wrote in her answer, but at least we're going to get to the bottom of it. You got to start with the most vulnerable one.
That's right.
Right? You got to start with the one who's not quite swift enough to tell you a lie. Now, when Mr. Radcliffe came over to the house, were you still arguing with your mother?
No.
What happened when he came into the house?
He came up, banged on the door. The door came off the latch. He just came in, and then he came up and got in my face, and I asked him what was going on.
He got in your face?
Yes.
And what did he say when he got in your face, Wendell?
You effing little punk.
Well, he must have been angry because you must have said something to him, Wendell, like you were going to come over and kick his ass and get your friends to come over because he was spreading these rumors about you and Emily's hickey. Did you threaten him?
No.
You mean you just said why? You just said like this?
I said
What?
it in a rude voice, yes.
In a rude voice?
In a rude voice, yeah.
And did you have the same kind of rude voice when you were talking to your mother?
No.
You mean you went over to her and you were very, very calm when you say, why did you share private information
Yes.
with
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Radcliffe? You said it quietly.
Not quietly, but in a normal voice.
Now, did you have any injuries as a result of this altercation with Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes, my back was killing me.
Your back was killing you.
Yeah.
When did it stop killing you?
Oh, a couple days after.
Now, your sister, at one point, came into the room when you were having this altercation with Mr. Radcliffe.
Yes.
Your sister's name is?
Jessica.
And how old is Jessica?
She's 19.
And Jessica took you out of the room.
Yeah.
Right. She said, calm down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Shooting fish in a barrel.
Oh, you're good. You are good.
Can I see your medical bills, please? Now, Mrs. Hicks, did you ever tell Mr. Radcliffe that you would pay his medical bills?
No, ma'am. The only injuries he got was a couple rug burns. When he come up to my door and was banging on my door, he busted my door to pieces. He come in. Me and Wendell was standing in the kitchen talking. He got in his face. Wendell goes, Jeff, can you back up? And Jeff took his hands like this, went boom into the side of the cabinet. And Wendell was going like, you know, like this. What are you doing? He just started attacking him. He took him down. He broke my stove. He had him on the floor, punching him in the face.
Miss Hicks, listen to me very carefully. What you're telling me is that Mr. Radcliffe assaulted your son for no reason.
They got into
Shh. Is that right?
Yes.
And I have a question for you. After July 8th, 2003, did you ever sleep with Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
Even though he assaulted your son without provocation. Is that right?
Yes. It was 3 days after the incident.
So 3 days after, it wasn't even 6 months later, it was 3 days after the incident that you, the mother of this assaulted child who had terrible backache from being assaulted without provocation from Mr. Radcliffe, went to bed with him.
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe, this is your problem, sir. I believe what you told me with regard to how this incident happened. Not everything. I think that you probably busted the door a little bit. I'm not sure whether Wendell opened the door calmly and said, why don't you come on in? I'm not sure about all those things. What I don't believe is that she agreed to pay your medical bills. And We know, I gather from these papers, that there is currently an action pending against you for stalking Miss Hicks. Now, I'm not getting into that, but according to Miss Hicks, you did not file this claim for your medical bills until a couple of days after she either filed and or served you with this stalking complaint, which is well over a year later, a year after the incident. So the issue that I have to resolve is whether she put you in harm's way or you put yourself in harm's way when you went over to her house. And there were several things that you could have done on the 8th of July. One of them is if you actually believed that Miss Hicks was in danger, you should have called the police.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today, his girlfriend Kim Hicks and her son, 15-year-old Wendell Hicks, promised to pay his medical bills after he had a fist fight with Wendell.
Now, you were angry because Wendell over here opened up his big fresh mouth to you and you went over there. And this altercation occurred because of that, because if you were genuinely concerned with Miss Hicks, you would have called 911 and said, get a squad car over there as soon as possible. Her son's beating her up. So you were annoyed with Wendell and you went over there to confront him. And if you got hurt, that's the way it goes. Case is dismissed. That's all. So it's your counterclaim.
Always are excused. You may step out.
He broke my door down. He assaulted my child.
He has no respect for no one, let alone himself.
She showed my dad, myself, and my brother all the bruises that she's gotten from all of her kids before.
I have never had any bruises on my body.
He's a bully of the neighborhood. He wants to pick on anybody and everybody.
They can think what they want to think. I know the truth.
The only reason why she filed this stalking order is because I've got a new girlfriend.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of McKnight versus McKnight. Step forward, please.
18-year-old student Ashley McKnight is suing her sister, 21-year-old Latoria Tori McKnight, for money loaned to pay her rent. Ashley says Tori was in jail and needed help paying her bills.
What's your first name?
Ashley.
This is your sister.
Yes, ma'am.
What's your first name?
Latoria.
According to your complaint, your sister went to jail. And you agreed that while she was in jail, you would take care of the bills and the rent on her apartment, with the agreement that she would pay you back when she got out of jail.
Yes, ma'am.
Your sister in her answer says that you and your boyfriend decided to stay in the apartment and you trashed it, so she's not responsible for anything. What did you go to jail for and when?
Oh, I was on probation for a misdemeanor, for having a traffic ticket and not paying on it. And see, they put you on probation until you pay the traffic ticket off. So I was on probation for that, and I was late paying on my probation fines. And so my probation officer, she took a warrant out on me October the 8th, but I didn't find out. She had done took the warrant out on me until a week later. So then when I went to jail, I stayed 2 weeks.
Which 2 weeks?
After October the 8th, when I found out I had the warrant, that was a week, and after that week was up, I stayed in jail 2 weeks, and I came home October the 26th.
Now, did you ask your sister to pay your rent?
See, how it went was, when I went to jail that Friday, I thought I was supposed to be staying just a couple of days. Oh, I thought I was supposed to just been staying a couple of days. I thought I was coming home that Monday. But I ended up staying 2 weeks. And so when I called home, I was like, keep my apartment up for me. And she said, we'll do that, we'll do that. So the whole time I'm thinking, my rent paid. You know, when I come home, I have a place to come home to. Well, that Monday, after that 2 weeks, my probation officer, he was like, you just pay a certain amount of money and you can come home. So I'm like, okay, you know, I'm happy now. I'm coming home now. You know, I done got all hyped up. I'm telling everybody I'm coming home, I'm coming home, I'm coming home. So I called my aunt, and she paid my probation officer to go ahead and pay my ticket off. That way I can come home. So when I came home, I didn't think she was going to be mad about paying my rent when she stayed there 3 weeks.
Well, just a minute. How could she stay there 3 weeks if you told me you were only in jail for 2 weeks?
I was in jail 2 weeks, but the week that I wasn't at home, I didn't stay there. So
where'd you stay?
I stayed like in hotels. I stayed at my mama's house.
Oh, don't give me baloney.
Your Honor, I stayed at her house 2 weeks. On the 15th, Tori was in jail, and she called me and asked me, could I pay her rent for her? She told me her rent was $230, and I said, pay your rent? She was like, yeah. She said, you can stay there as long as you promise me you keep my bills up and pay my rent. So I said, okay. So at the time, she talked to a probation officer, and he said if she come up with like $500 cash, then she'll get out of jail. So when she was calling me that time, I had my cell phone. She was calling me on my cell phone. When she called somebody, called me on three-way, asked me, have I asked this person for some money? Have I asked that person for some money?
You and your boyfriend stayed in her apartment.
Yeah.
Where had you been staying?
Well, I live with my mother.
So you moved out of your mother's house in with your boyfriend into her apartment?
No. It's not like we moved in like that. I live with my mother like he lived at his mama's house. But she told me I could stay there at her apartment if I pay all her bills for her. So, I mean...
That's nice. That's not a loan.
No, she told me she would pay me back. She told me her rent was $230. When I talked to her site manager, she told me her rent was $350, and it's a $55 late fee because it was late. So she wanted $405. So then they took out a warrant or something, whatever her site manager did, and I got this paper stating that I had to pay LaToya rent by the 26th, so everything on their premises will be theirs.
I got it. So you paid the $405?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, she came out of jail on October 26th.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's the same day you paid the $405?
Yes, ma'am.
And then she told you you had to leave?
Yes, ma'am.
So you left?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, if she hadn't paid the $405, you would have owed the $405 plus November's rent.
Yes, ma'am. No, she would have been put out. I'm sorry.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, she only stayed in the apartment 2 weeks. Why should you pay your rent for that 2 weeks?
She stayed in my place 3 weeks. I got carpet damage. All them bills still coming.
Show me. Proof. Proof.
Well, I couldn't counterclaim for it.
Show me proof. Show me pictures.
Oh, no, ma'am.
Show me something.
Y'all don't have anything.
Well, that's what you think you were coming here for today. Your answer said that not only did she live there, but she caused all kinds of damage. She trashed your apartment. You came in, the place was a mess, the carpet was stained, the walls were... I said, for that, you have proof. You take a picture. Everybody's got a camera. What kind of camera do you have?
I don't have a camera.
You have a friend who has a camera.
No, I do not.
What's your name?
Charmaine Greer.
How old are you?
22.
You have any children?
2.
How old are they?
1 and 5 months.
Is she your friend?
Mm-hmm.
How many pictures do you have of your children? A whole bunch?
Yes.
Yes, because you have a what?
Camera.
Good. Right. See, instead of asking her to come to court today, you should have asked her to borrow her camera. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $405. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
If she feel like I owe my sister, then I owe her, but I don't feel like I owe my sister.
I was trying to help out. I mean, I was going to keep her apartment up and everything going on.
My carpet was dirty and I had trash everywhere.
Yeah, it might have been a trash bag in the kitchen, but I mean, trash do be in the kitchen.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Power versus Power. Step forward, please.
Homemaker Mary Power is suing her daughter, administrative assistant Catherine Power, for the cost of a cruise from New York to Canada.
Ms. Power, this is your daughter.
Yes, it is.
And I gather from reading your petition that at this point in your lives you're not happy with each other.
No, we're not.
So this is what the case is about. Your family was planning to go away on a cruise together, so I assume you all got along. You have children?
Yes.
How many?
2.
And they were going on the cruise also?
Yes.
How many of your brothers and sisters were going?
2. 2 sisters.
And Mrs. Power, what you tell me in your petition is that your daughter paid for the cruise, and then the cruise company went bankrupt.
Correct.
And everybody was really disappointed, and according to what you tell me, I read, you made arrangements for a second cruise.
Correct.
And since the refund hadn't come back yet, you paid for the second cruise.
Correct.
And your daughter didn't pay you back when she got the refund.
Correct.
She says that the second cruise was a gift.
Absolutely not.
That's your defense. Is that right?
Yes.
When were you planning to go on this cruise, Miss Power?
The first cruise on Regal Cruises, we were going June 29th of 2003.
And where were you going?
We were going from New York to Canada.
Kathy, how much did you pay for that cruise for you and your 2 children? Was it 3 people going?
I paid $906, but that wasn't a full total.
When did you pay that money?
Throughout January to May of 2003.
Great. When were you advised, Miss Power, that the cruise was canceled?
I was advised in May of 2003.
And did you rebook another cruise?
Yes, I did.
For the same period of time?
For the same period of time. Just one day earlier, we were going to leave than previously planned.
And was that a more expensive cruise?
A few $100s more.
So what happened? You went on the cruise in June?
We went on the cruise. We had a great time. I got a refund back in February of 2004.
Did you call your daughter and ask her if she had gotten a refund back?
Yes, I was very excited I got my refund, but she didn't seem to be as excited. And she just called me up a few days later, and she said to me, Now, she didn't say she got her check back. She said that when she gets her check back, she'd like to use it to go to Florida on another vacation. And I said, absolutely no. I want my money back.
And she said?
And she said that no, she wasn't giving it back to me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Her daughter, Catherine Power, owes for a cruise from New York to Canada. Catherine says she's a struggling single mom, and the cruise was a gift.
Give me your version of the events that led to your belief that this was a gift to you.
The first cruise that we had purchased, actually my mom called me and said, would you like to go on a cruise and I'll help pay for it. And then she ended up paying for my sister Karen's part, but didn't help me. So I was still paying for it because I wanted to go. So I just went on about my time and got a phone call when I was at work, and she said, I purchased a new cruise. So I was like, well, Mom, I don't have money. And nothing came up about the refund check. I don't have the money to pay for it. She goes, don't worry, it's a gift. So that's how I took it as.
Kathy,
what?
Your mother never said to you, don't worry, it's a gift.
She said, don't worry.
I know that she didn't say, don't worry, it's a gift, and you know she didn't say, don't worry, it's a gift. Right?
Right, but she did say, don't worry. She didn't say it was a gift, but she said not to worry.
Right. She didn't say it was a gift. How did I know that?
Because people don't say that.
They just... Because if it doesn't sound right, it's not true.
Yeah.
So tell me what happened, Miss Power, when you got back your refund from the cruise line in February.
She said she paid for the cruise and that I was supposed to pay her back. And that was not my point of it. It was...
Well, was your point of it? Was your point of it that...
She bought a trip for the family. It was the last family trip. She felt that everyone should go on it because my father was sick and she wanted us all together. That's what it was.
Then, Kathy, would you explain to me, if that's your rationalization for keeping the money, why is it that you testified earlier that from February until May, you were paying the travel agent, and you paid the travel agent $906 if your mother had already said to you, I want to take the family away on a trip? And what I think happened that really annoyed you is that your mother, according to you, chose to pay for one of your sisters to go and didn't choose to pay for you. Because you've already mentioned that once, and that, I would say, might fry you a little bit. But let me understand why your mother decided to pay for one sister and not you. You want to explain that to me?
Yes. When my daughter, Kathy, had my grandson, she had to take some leave off from work. She was on maternity leave. And during that time, my husband, Bill, and I helped her with her rent and her car payments to keep her going. And I did ask her at that time to pay me back.
Okay.
She did not.
Okay, just a second. So, did your parents help you?
They came up to the house when I had Liam and watched Emerald, my daughter, and then she helped me with diapers and stuff.
$1,306 is what you intended to pay. Is that right?
Correct.
Mrs. Powell, even if you decided to go on a little bit more expensive cruise, I assume you would be perfectly happy if you got $1,306 back from your daughter. If she said to you, listen, I don't have the extra money, but here's the $1,306 that I was intending to pay for the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give that back to you.
I would have been happy.
And that would have been right, Kathy.
No.
That would have been right, Kathy.
Nope.
Listen to me. You have to stop relying on other people to take care of the problems that you create. You create certain problems. You created a lifestyle for yourself. And it seems to me from listening to your mother, who's a pretty rational lady, that you have relied on other people to take care of the problems that you create. And when you listen to me, and when you turn 30, you just told me that. You just told me a moment ago that your parents came to watch your daughter when your son was born.
Correct.
And gave you a little bit of money, a little bit of help. Well, that means relying on other people for problems that you create.
They didn't have to come.
Oh, listen to me. Listen to me. Did you ever hear the expression, beauty fades, dumb is forever? Huh? Mm-hmm. All right. That's all I'm going to say. You owe your mother $1,306. That is the cost of the trip that you had originally said that you were going to take care of. You got a refund for most of it. You should have turned that refund over to your mother by signing over the check to her and saying, thanks for covering the balance. She would have been ecstatic that you did the right thing. You chose to do the wrong thing. And you can't, at your age, do the wrong thing. First of all, it sets a bad example for your children, and that's primarily why you can't do the wrong thing. Because you're supposed to set a perfect example for your children, and then you're not supposed to make your mother come and sue you. Don't say anything. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,306. That's all. Step out.
That is our excuse. Let's step out.
I'm very happy with the decision. The only thing is I just feel bad that Kathy and I have no relationship right now. And I'm just hoping that she's going to let me see the kids. That's my grandkids.
My sister might, you know, because she has my nephew, so that will be important. But if I have, I have control over my kids, they won't see my mother.
It was very hard, but I needed to get the money back.
She's controlling, and she's been controlling from all of us. I mean, her sons don't even talk to her, so.
She has to be responsible for her actions.
It was a gift. That's what it'll always be, a gift.
Hayward Berger is suing his ex-wife, speech pathologist Cynthia Berger, for the return of $300 he overpaid in child support. Cynthia says she used the money to pay for their daughter's graduation.
Come to order. All rise.
All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 334 on the calendar. In the matter of Berger versus Berger, parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, folks. Have seats.
Mr. Berger, you and the defendant used to be married. You have 2 children together. You've been divorced according to your complaint for 18 years.
Yes, ma'am.
You say that your former wife owes you $302.44, which you claim you overpaid in child support for one of your children. You graduated from high school and the money was taken out of your pay.
Yes, ma'am.
You want her to give you back that money.
Yes, ma'am.
And your former wife says that she used that money for your daughter's graduation, the expenses for her graduation, and get over it. Which, quite frankly, considering everything in this world, would be my response to you, too, were you my ex-husband. But since we're not there, I'm going to find out whether there is any merit to your claim, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
You have how many children?
4.
How old are they?
The youngest is 14. The oldest is 24.
Okay, and with the defendant, you have an 18-year-old?
Yes, ma'am.
And?
22-year-old.
So it's only your 18-year-old daughter that we have issue with. Your younger children still live with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how much child support were you paying when both children were living with your former wife?
When I was paying for both of them, at the end, it was $300 a week, I think it was.
$300 a week or $300 a month?
Sometimes support was ordered per month. Sometimes it was ordered per week.
You know?
Yes, ma'am. It was $760.
A month?
Yes, ma'am. This is the documentation of all since it's been going through child support enforcement, of how much he's been paying.
Did you ever pay, sir, $1,500 a month for support?
$1,500 a month? No,
Yeah.
ma'am.
So when you told me $300, that you were talking about $300 per month, not per week.
Yes, ma'am.
Per month.
It's been sometimes support was ordered per week.
I understand that,
Yes,
but
ma'am.
when it was ordered per week, it was never $300 a week.
No, ma'am.
Well, then you made a mistake.
If I said that, then yes, I did.
Yes, you made a mistake. It was never $300 a week. Maybe it was $300 a month.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to find out.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
just wanted to find out whether you've been an overindulgent parent.
I've always paid what the court ordered me to pay.
I understand that you've always paid what the court ordered you to pay, sir. I also understand that you've had 2 more children and you've been able to at least contribute to their support also, and you have another family, which is really my question. Your daughter graduated from high school. They took out a payment after she graduated from high school of $300, and you want the money back.
Yes, ma'am.
Explain it to me.
The support was ordered to cease on June the 14th. They took out the full month of June, and I'm just asking for the other 2 weeks that shouldn't have been taken out.
Did you ask your former wife about it?
Yes, ma'am. I sent her.
And what did she say to you?
She said no.
Did she say anything about graduation expenses?
No, ma'am, she did not.
If she said something to you about graduation expenses, you know, the additional money that she had for graduation, for ring, for gown, for whatever. Gown, ring?
Shoes, everything.
Would you have said, sure, it's a
we could
one-shot
have
deal?
We could have discussed it, yes, ma'am.
So why didn't you tell him?
I didn't tell him because every time I've tried to explain him, all I get back are nasty letters, and I really just didn't think he would do anything. I mean, he hadn't laid eyes on her in 2 years. So I didn't think he would do anything else.
Judge,
Yes.
I've done extra. I bought both of the children a car. That's doing something extra.
That's true.
Yes, ma'am.
That's right. That wasn't within the last 2 years, and I said 2 years he hasn't laid eyes
Well,
on
what
her.
happened 2 years ago, Mr. Berger?
I got tired. I mean, I never received phone calls from him. You know, she's changed her phone number. I have tried to call, but the phone number has been changed. I don't know when. Might have been recently. I don't know. I just basically give up.
That's too bad.
Yes, ma'am.
Did your father buy you a car?
He did.
Okay. Tell me your name.
Stacy Stack.
Stacy. When did he buy you a car?
2.5 years ago.
Did you thank him?
I did.
You still using the car?
No, ma'am.
What happened to it?
We went to go get it inspected, and the family friend that inspected it said that it wasn't good. It was rusted underneath, and that it could break down at any time. So we bought a new car.
How long did you use it for?
I used it for about 6 months.
Okay. So before 2 years ago, you had contact with your dad?
Not a lot. I called him, the last time that I've talked to him or seen him was I called him so I can go up there and see him, and then he said okay, and the day of, or the day before, he came by and said, no, we have to go somewhere else, and they left, and I haven't talked to him or seen him since then.
That sound familiar?
I think something came up that time. Yes, ma'am.
Can't come up.
Ma'am?
Nothing can come up. Nothing.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Ex-wife Cynthia Berger owes for the return of child support. Hayward says he overpaid by $300.
All very sad. There really is no defense to it. Money was supposed to stop, correct?
According to the papers, yes. When we went to court, before we go in, child support enforcement speaks to me, and they told me that it would continue to the end of the month. He was still obligated to the end of the month. I said, are you sure? Yes, he's obligated to the end of the month. I said, okay. We went in, and the judge said he would stop because he wanted it stopped on her graduation day. And I called child support enforcement again, told them, you know, and they said, no, he's still obligated till the end of the month. So I just, you know.
You took it. The judge makes the order, and the judge said it's supposed to stop on the 14th. How old are you?
18.
When were you 18?
March 13th.
And the overpayment was $302?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Berger?
Yes, ma'am.
You're going to get your $302 back.
Yes, ma'am.
You might want to buy something nice for your daughter, but you're entitled to it back.
Yes, ma'am.
Remember, you have 4 children.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Good. That's all. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $302.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It seems like when it counts in front of the judge or whatever, she comes off as a good guy and I come off as a bad guy.
Every time he's mad at me, he hasn't seen the children. He didn't take the children. He doesn't buy them presents, and he says it's because of me.
My daughter went by my ex-wife's maiden name shows some of what's been going on, the brainwashing for the kids.
I would have liked him to start seeing us when we were little so we'd get to know him, but we're older now and we know what happened, so.
There's many, many, many trips I've made. It's a 2.5-hour drive from my house to their house to pick the children up.
He's never tried. He cares more about the money than myself and my brother.
I would like to have a relationship with my kids in Richmond and try to mend fences if possible.
Maybe it's hopefully the last thing I see of him. I haven't seen him in 2 years and it really doesn't bother me any.
All parties in the matter of Shirley versus Edwards, step forward.
Financial officer Ron Shirley is suing the father of his son's friend, private detective Rick Edwards, for the cost to fix his Honda Del Sol. Ron says Rick's son, Clayton, crashed it into a gate.
Tell me your first name.
Scott.
How old are you, Scott?
17.
Clayton, 16.
And these are your fathers?
Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
According to what I read, Scott, you were out driving your father's car, With your father's permission, I assume?
That's correct.
And you let Clayton drive your father's car.
Yes.
Clayton had an accident while driving your father's car, and Mr. Shirley, you want Clayton and his father to be responsible for the damage caused while Clayton was behind the wheel of the car.
That's correct.
Mr. Edwards says it is not his son's fault, and therefore he is not responsible for the damage. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Scott, tell me when this accident happened.
Last year, August 13th, I think.
Who was in your dad's car?
It was me on the passenger side, and he was driving.
How did it come about that he was driving?
He asked me if he can drive my car home, and I said,
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you say?
I said, okay.
What happened, Clayton?
I first got in, and then as we were driving away, I pushed the brakes, and then it didn't make the car stop. And then by the time I realized that the brakes weren't going, I tried to swerve, and I hit a gate into a pole. And then after we looked down, we looked at the accelerator was stuck under the floor mat. That's how the car crashed.
And what happened at that point, Clayton?
Me and Scott talked it over, and then
What do you mean you talked it over?
we talked about the situation about me being only 15 at the time and me not having a license or insurance.
When you talked it over, what did you say to him and what did he say to you?
I recall saying that I was 15 at the time and did not have insurance and that we should switch spots and that I'd pay him back any way I can.
So you said to Scott, let's lie to the police.
I told them to switch spots.
You told him to switch spots for the purpose of lying to the police.
Yes, ma'am.
And Scott said?
He reluctantly said yes.
When you say he reluctantly said yes, what does that mean?
Because we were both scared at the time. We didn't know what to do. So then we both agreed to do that because I said I'd pay him back any way I could.
So when the police came, you did lie to the police, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened, Scott?
And then, like, my parents paid for all the damages. It turned out to be a lot of money, so I decided that to tell my parents the truth.
And Mr. Shirley, you contacted Mr. Edwards?
I did.
And what happened when you contacted Mr. Edwards?
He suggested that we would do more harm for the boys than good by amending the police report, and that he would honor the damages to the car and offer to pay for them.
Is that right?
That's basically right, Your Honor.
And then what happened?
Well, after about 24 hours, I thought it through and decided that that was not a position I wanted to take. I didn't want to foster a false police report, and I brought my son to the police, and we corrected the report.
Absolutely the right thing to do. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, my son was arrested for false information to a police officer, a misdemeanor. He's been on probation and had to do community service.
And Clayton, what happened to you as a result of this debacle on the 13th of August?
Police officer came to my house and he changed the report and said that I got a ticket for unlicensed driver. I went to court and paid the fine. And then my father dealt with me, and I'm still on corporal punishment as we speak.
You're on corporal punishment? You mean he beats you every day?
No.
That's corporal punishment, sir. You're not on capital punishment, right?
No.
Not yet.
You're on corporal punishment, which means that your father takes you downstairs and beats you every day?
No.
Capital punishment?
That would be capital.
No, that's corporal. That's corporal, sir. Corporal punishment.
Well, my version would be capital.
Well, I get that.
Well, I'd like to know what you did to your son, sir.
He's being punished in various ways.
Well, give me an example.
By cutting off money, making him work harder than
Does
he
he
ever
drive
has.
a car?
He drives a car back and forth to school and to baseball games, yes, ma'am.
What kind of car does he drive?
A truck.
How many cars do you have in your family?
4.
So he has the use of this truck by himself.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's not much of a punishment.
There's
and
more.
he did, shh. Bottom line is he got a ticket.
Yes, ma'am.
And how much did it cost you, Mr. Shirley, to fix the car and to fix the gate?
Well, the gate was covered by insurance. Unfortunately, that's a claim on our insurance. That was around $8,000 or $9,000. The car itself was over $3,000.
And your son now has an arrest, and he's doing community service.
Right.
And he's on probation.
Correct.
I feel balanced to you, Mr. Edwards?
I'm sorry. One more time, Your Honor.
Does that feel balanced to you?
It doesn't feel that bad to me, Your Honor.
Let me try to give it to you again, Mr. Edwards, because you don't look like a bad guy.
I don't think
I don't think you are either. I just think that maybe you're an overindulgent, overly protective parent, but maybe just overly protective of your pocketbook. But I want to give you a scenario, and you tell me if you think that these are equal. Where were you born, sir?
California.
You had to think about that? You had no idea where you were
I was
born?
trying to think of the city.
You were born in the state of California,
Yes.
the United States of America.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Scott, where were you born?
China.
And when did you come to the United States of America?
3 years ago.
And this happened last year, is that right?
Yes.
So that you were here for 2 years?
Yes.
Okay. So you have somebody born in the state of California, someone here for 2 years. You say, let's lie to the police. According to you, reluctantly, because you gave them a little bit of pressure, because you knew you were going to have real trouble if you were caught behind the wheel of the car, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. You said, we're going to tell the police that you were driving. Scott said, all right, maybe I'll get in trouble if I let you drive. So he said, okay. He fessed up because it bothered him that his family had to spend all this money, and he, in his heart, knew that he wasn't the one driving. So in his head, he said, well, I'm really not responsible. He's partially responsible because he shouldn't have let you drive the car. But initially, you promised to pay for the damage, right?
Yes. And it wasn't quick enough as he would like.
Well, he expected you to go to your father and say to your father, listen, I did the wrong thing. I promised I'd pay for the damage, Dad. Could you lend me the money and I'm going to work it off? That's what it means by keeping your word. But you didn't go to your father right away, did you?
We thought that was the best thing. Me and Scott talked about.
Don't tell me what you thought was the best. You chose to do nothing. You have somebody who was more wrong than not, who has suffered no consequence whatsoever. He's driving around in a truck, all his own. According to you, despite the fact that he says he's subjected to corporal punishment every day, you say he's got to work a little bit harder than he used to.
Much harder.
Well, he should work a lot harder, sir, because he should pay you back the money that I'm going to order you to pay, because your son is at least partially responsible. And in my view, I have to attribute the cost of this act between the two of you. Now, your out-of-pocket expenses for the car were $3,000, and you would agree that your son is at least partially responsible for letting him drive the car. And believe me, you know the excuse of the brake pad got caught under the rug? You know that excuse? That's the other excuse? I don't buy it. So when you do the wrong thing, you have to fess up and pay up. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. I believe that $500 of that has to be absorbed by your son for his bad judgment in letting somebody else drive your car. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, I thought Judge Judy was fair, and she understood that the responsibility was more the driver than the passenger.
Judge Judy is a wonderful judge, and I really respect her opinion.
I learned my lessons. I'll never do anything like that again.
I hope this can get all behind us, and me and Scott can still be friends.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Rice versus Welkowitz. Winnie, step forward.
Restaurant owner David Rice is suing 18-year-old James Welkowitz and his former friend, 18-year-old James Winnie, for damaging his restaurant's sign when they were driving drunk.
Welkowitz, raise your hand. Winnie, raise your hand. Which one of you was driving the car?
I was, Your Honor.
Which one was the passenger in the car?
I was, Your Honor.
Which one was drunk?
Both of us.
Raise your hand. Mr. Rice, you are the owner of a Wendy's.
Yes, I am.
These two idiots came through your drive-thru.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Wilkowitz driving the car,
I believe so, yes.
and Mr. Winnie, passenger in the car.
Yes.
One of them wanted free food.
Yes, ma'am.
Raise your hand if you wanted free food. Raise your hand! And when they were told they couldn't get free food, they drove off
Sped off, yes, Your Honor.
and damaged some of your property.
Hit a light pole and
a
ran
pole.
over a sign. Yes, ma'am.
And you want them to pay for the damage.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see the damage, please?
Yes. I have pictures also, Your Honor.
I'd like to see the pictures. I'd like to see the estimates.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
There you go, Bert, thank you. And I have police reports also.
Date of the incident, please.
October 21st, 2004.
October 21st. That's my birthday.
Happy birthday. My brother's birthday also.
Now, you gentlemen were not celebrating my birthday, were you? What were you celebrating on October 21st?
We were celebrating. We were just having a night out, just drinking.
And whose car were you driving, Mr. Wilkowitz?
I was driving his car.
And how did you get the keys to his car, Mr. Wilkowitz?
He gave them to me. He asked me to drive because he was too drunk. He was swerving all over the road because we just got back from Taco Bell.
How old are you?
I'm 18.
What do you do?
I do construction.
Did you graduate from high school?
Yes, Your Honor.
When?
June 04.
And you?
I didn't graduate, Your Honor.
How old
I
are you?
graduate this year.
How old are you?
18.
Are you on a 5-year plan of high school?
No.
A 6-year plan?
I started school late.
You think you're going to get smarter by being drunk?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Rice has had about $1,200 worth of damage to his property. Who's going to pay for it? I don't see those hands going up.
Hey, Your Honor, can I say something, though?
That's wiping your nose, sir. I don't see the hands going up.
I just wanted to bring up that he did break my nose. We got out the car, I pulled over, he broke my nose, I had to go to the hospital.
He broke your nose. That before or after you damaged Mr.
After.
Shh. Was that before or after you damaged Mr. Rice's property?
After I damaged his property.
Why would I care about that? I'm going to say it again. You were driving.
Yes, Your Honor.
It was your car.
Yes, Your Honor.
Raise your hand and tell me who's going to pay for Mr. Rice's damaged pole and sign. Ugh.
Can I say something, Your Honor? The only reason why I hit the sign because he grabbed the wheel.
Why would I grab the own wheel in my car?
Why were you in the car with him when you were drunk?
He took my keys from my friend's mom.
Yes. That doesn't tell me how you got into the car, sir.
Because he was about to take off with my car.
Yes.
Yeah. It's lying.
Oh. I can't anymore. I can't anymore. I mean, it's Dumb and Dumber. They were the standard for the script.
You read my mind.
Mr. Rice.
Yes, ma'am.
Sad but true. Youth of America. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,200. Sorry. Just take him out.
Okay. Why did I excuse you? You may step out.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I was the manager on the shift, and they came through drunk, rude.
He only got 6 months probation and a night in jail. I got 93 days in jail and a year probation.
It would never happen if he went and took my keys.
Judge Judy is always fair, and she's just like Dave Thomas of Wendy's. She does the right thing, and that's why I brought it to her attention, and I knew we would get satisfaction.
25-year-old home appraiser Amanda Knockhart is suing her ex-boyfriend, 27-year-old basketball coach Ethan Jordan, for a loan, a trip to Las Vegas, and for kicking her in the ribs.
Yeah, this is case number 243 on the calendar in the matter of Knockhart versus Jordan. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Knockhart, Mr. Jordan is your former roommate, and it is your claim in this lawsuit that he owes you for a whole bunch of stuff.
Correct.
Mr. Jordan says he owes you for absolutely nothing, and you got to get on with your life. Get over it and get on with your life. When was he your roommate?
He moved in August of 2003 through June of 2004.
And how long had you known him before he became your roommate?
Probably about a month.
Was your relationship with him solely that of landlord and tenant?
No.
So you had a social relationship with him as well?
No.
What?
A love relationship?
I said social.
Social?
Yes.
Sure.
Well, is that a question?
No.
That's a statement. So you had a social relationship with him as well. Is that right, Mr. Jordan?
Not entirely, Your Honor. I sometimes slept on the couch, but for the most part, we did share a bedroom.
Okay, so you had a social relationship, but you paid rent?
No, ma'am.
You did not pay rent?
I moved in with the understanding that I would not pay rent or find any costs in her bills.
Oh, that's interesting. So you weren't a tenant because the word tenant implies that you pay rent?
Yes, ma'am.
So you just lived together? I mean, I was confused about the statements. You lived together, and he did not pay rent?
He did not pay rent, but the agreement was that he was supposed to maintain the automobile and the maintenance of that. And
whose automobile?
Mine.
Supposed to maintain a car?
Right.
Is that your agreement?
That agreement wasn't up until, let's say, January.
So from August of 2003 until January of 2004, Mr. Jordan, what you're telling me is you were just sponging.
No, Your Honor. It was all her idea.
Oh, no, I didn't know her idea. I didn't ask whose idea it was. I said, just listen to my question, Mr. Jordan. According to you, from August 2003 till January 2004, you paid no rent, you paid no bills, you paid no car insurance, you didn't have any responsibility with regard to the car. So far, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That makes you a sponge.
Okay.
Right?
I would
That means
disagree.
that as far as I'm concerned, there must be something really hidden about you that I don't see. What? Whatever. Okay. Now, he's a sponge.
Yes.
That makes you pretty dumb. Right?
No.
Sure it does. You know somebody a month, you invite them to come into your home, they pay you nothing. Must do something. Do you have a big home?
No, he was supposed to get a check that was mailed to his ex-girlfriend's house. That's why I never saw the money.
Look, you say, I met him, he moved in.
Correct.
And you agreed that he could use my car to get to and from work if he paid the insurance and the maintenance. That's what you said.
That's right.
So evidently he worked, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Usually when you have a job, you make what?
Yeah, but he got fired.
Money. And when you have a job and you make money, you take care of your expenses, like rent and food and electric and gas, unless, you know, you're a sponge. So according to you, he did not pay for the insurance on the car.
No.
So why don't you throw him out?
Well, he was supposed to be getting a big check, like I said, for $2,000, and the check was mailed somewhere else instead of our residence, and he apparently spent the money.
And when did he get the check?
February.
Well, what happened in February when you knew he got the check and he spent the money on something else? Did you throw him out?
No, he had another job at that time finally and was supposed to get the paychecks. Then he got arrested and his lawyer that he owed money to was suing him. I couldn't get any of it at that point.
At that point, what you're supposed to say is, I am a reasonably intelligent person.
Right.
I'm living with somebody that's taking advantage of me. Get out.
Right.
Unless you're in love and everything is going to work out okay and you're really not interested in the money, you're really interested in the relationship, and the only reason you come to a point where you're interested in the money is because you're not together anymore.
No, he did start staying at a friend of his house more often.
When?
That was in May, because...
I'm talking about February, March, April.
Okay.
Nothing. Goodbye. All right. What's next? What else does he owe you money for?
A vacation that we took together and for medical bills.
All right. So let's go to the vacation. When was the vacation?
February.
Where did you go?
Las Vegas.
For how long?
February 22nd to the 29th.
You wait to drink later. And was he working at the time?
He was going to Las Vegas to work.
Was he working at the time?
Nowhere else, no.
And what was your arrangement?
He was working the convention there, the magic show, and when he returned...
What do you do for a living?
Your Honor, I have always, since she's known me, maintained an occupation as a basketball coach at the YMCA. I still work there today.
What were you doing in Las Vegas?
Oh, I modeled for a clothing company.
So you were modeling?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you get paid?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. How much did you get paid? Do you remember?
Not entirely, not exactly. I think it was like $1,500, some give or take.
And who paid for all the expenses to Vegas?
To Vegas, she did.
Well, why didn't you compensate her for that?
When I got the news that I was going to Vegas, I had all my... They flew me out. They flew me out. They would room me, pay for airfare. I had a place to go. She decided that she wanted to go to Vegas. We sat down. We planned out the whole trip. Okay. When we got to Vegas, her and I would disagree, as usual, and she went one way and I went another. I stayed with a friend. That's it.
How many days were you there?
In the hotel room, I think I stayed 1 day.
Okay, how many days?
1.
Okay, so you put him out after 1 day?
No, he only stayed 1 night away from me. He tried leaving me in the middle of Las Vegas by myself.
Yeah.
So I tried catching a flight home, which would have costed me a lot more money than...
How did you get to Vegas? Did you fly?
Yeah.
You flew. Well, his ticket was paid for.
No, it wasn't. I have the credit card receipts right here.
Oh, well, she says it wasn't paid for. Did
Your
you
Honor,
get... Were you reimbursed by the company for your airfare there?
Normally they would have, but I opted to go with her since she wanted to go with me.
Yeah, right.
Ooh, he slipped. All right, how much was his plane ticket?
$345 for
his
the
plane
airfare.
ticket. Okay. And how much was the hotel room?
$214.76.
For both of you?
No, I divided all the costs by 2.
So it's clear to me that you were compensated, Mr. Jordan, for that. If you weren't, you were paid $1,500, probably plus expenses. You got the check. I assume you got the check to cover your expenses as $559. So far, you're off $559 for this trip to Las Vegas. What else does he owe you for? Don't say anything else. I'm giving you, so far, every benefit of the doubt, more benefit of the doubt than I usually would give to somebody who acts so dumb. What else does he owe you for?
The rental car.
Listen to me. Leave Las Vegas. Get on to something else.
Doctor bill.
Now, tell me about the doctor bill.
Ethan abused me, and I had to go to the doctor's.
When?
5/8.
Tell me what happened on May 8th.
He kicked me in the ribs, broke 2 of my toes, threw me.
Well, tell me about the argument.
I don't know what actually the argument was about.
And how did the verbal argument escalate into a physical argument?
He came dashing from the living room, charging at me.
And?
Threw me against the kitchen cabinets, picked me up, threw me on the floor, spit on my face, and kicked me in the ribs.
Did you call the police?
I called my friend to come get me.
Did you call the police?
Not at that point.
When, after May 8th, did you call the police and report it?
I had a personal protection order put out on him on July 22nd. I didn't call the police on that incident.
Why not?
I don't have an answer for that. I'm sorry.
Mr. Jordan, you want to tell me what happened on May 8th?
Your Honor, I do remember the fight that we got into. I don't remember why I attacked her, but I do know that that was not the only incident that became physical between either one of us.
Did you suffer any injuries on May 8th, Mr. Jordan?
Your Honor, I've got scratches all over me, but I didn't go to courtroom, I didn't go to the hospital or anything like that.
I see the doctor's report. Did you take her to the hospital, doctor, or whatever?
I don't remember her going to the hospital.
No, I took myself there, Your Honor.
Okay. Miss Knockhart, after May 8th, you went back to live with him.
He started staying... No.
Are you telling me that between May 8th and June, which is when you said you separated, because you said you separated in June...
Correct.
You didn't live together at all?
I stayed at my mom's a lot more because...
I'm not asking you a lot more. I'm asking you at all, Miss Knockhart.
Not that day or not the next day.
What about the third day?
Yes.
And when you went back the third day, did you share a room together?
No.
Not ever. Between May 8th and June when he...
Yes. Once or twice.
Miss Knockhart,
yes.
I have no idea what this bill is for. This says that the closing date of the statement is May 8th. The doctor says that he saw you on April 23rd with regard to an assault. I would have assumed that if somebody broke your toes during the course of an assault, you would remember the month and date that it took place.
Yeah.
Well, I would assume that. Listen, are you her mother?
Yes, I am.
She lives by herself?
Yes.
How old is she?
25.
She's probably not old enough to live by herself.
No, she's more than capable. Her judgment in men aren't that good.
Her judgment isn't that good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today, Linda Knockhart says her ex-boyfriend Ethan Jordan beat her up and broke her ribs. She's also suing for a loan and a trip to Las Vegas.
Where are you living now, Mr. Jordan?
I live with my brother.
You pay him rent?
No.
Problem is not an answer.
No, ma'am, I don't.
Why not?
Because he's my brother. He helped me out of this relationship.
Does your brother work?
He's a doctor.
And you just told me a moment ago that you've been working continuously.
Yes, ma'am. I have 2 jobs myself.
What is it with you that you think that other people are supposed to take care of you?
I don't believe that.
I'm not talking about her. Let's forget her for a second.
Okay.
How old are you?
27.
Grow up. Responsibility. You're supposed to pay your way. You're not supposed to spend all the money that you make on clothes. Sir, do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes, ma'am. I understand.
Listen, your mother says that you have lousy judgment in men. You better start getting better judgment in men. So far, the only thing he owes you is $559 for the trip to Vegas. That's his expenses, because I think he was reimbursed those expenses and you expected them. I can't figure out whether you were assaulted or when you were assaulted or what it was all about, because you brought no proof of that. So, exercise better judgment in the future. That's my decision. Judgment for the plaintiff, $559. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
For her to let me live that long with her, drive her car, you know what I'm saying? She says I beat her up and she didn't make any kind of police report. speaks for itself.
I think he just used me and he wanted somewhere to stay for free, and now he's found somewhere else to freeload.
The violent, tumultuous relationship. I didn't talk about how fish hook I was beat with, or you know what I'm saying, spoons and whatever that was thrown at me. So I'm just happy that's all done over.
Of course, he's got to make me look bad because look at how he appeared in the courtroom. So
I wish it had been.
Treitner is suing her daughter, 19-year-old waitress Jessica Unterberger, for her share of an insurance settlement. Veronica says Jessica cashed the check and took off with the money.
Yeah, this is case number 260 on the calendar in the matter of Treitner versus Unterberger.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, sir.
Ms. Treitner, the defendant is your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And you are suing her because, according to what I read, your daughter was riding in a car as a passenger. Who was driving?
I was driving.
And there was an accident.
Yes.
And your daughter was injured.
Yes.
She was under 18 at the time.
Yes.
And you decided, rather than going to trial, because I assume the other person was responsible?
Yes.
You settled her claim.
That's correct.
For a little over $4,000.
Yes.
She wasn't living with you at the time because your daughter has been in foster care for a good part of her adolescence.
That's correct.
And you sent her the check because there was a two-party check, and you instructed her to sign the back of the check, send it back to you, and you would give her some of the money.
That's correct.
And she kept the check and cashed it.
Yes.
And spent the money.
Yes.
So you want half the money back for her medical bills.
That's correct.
Okay. How old are you?
I'm 19.
When did you go into foster care?
I went into foster care the 24th of May in 2002 is the official date.
Who did you live with before that time?
My mother.
Had you been in foster care at any time from the age of 12 to 16?
I went to foster care when I was 14 and I turned 15 in foster care.
You have siblings?
Yes.
How old are they?
My brother's 14.
Does he live with your mother?
Yes.
Has he always lived with your mother?
Yes.
He was not in foster care?
No.
So I gather from what you tell me, you and your mother had a rocky relationship, which is why she put you in foster care.
Correct.
And you have remarried?
Yes.
Now, you took her out of foster care because you were going on vacation or a trip?
That's not exactly true. We asked them if she could go with us. It's not so much that we took her out, but it was more like a trial to see if she could come back home and live with us.
And that's when the accident occurred?
Yes.
Tell me about the accident. When was it?
It was June 14th, 2002. We were getting onto the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and there was an 18-wheeler in front of us stopped. I stopped. The person behind me stopped. The person behind him did not. When he hit that car hit us. It bounced back and hit us again. Jessica was on the driver's side back. I was driving. The car, when it hit that side twice. We at first declined care because she said she was fine. By the time we got to New Jersey, she was complaining of symptoms of a whiplash. We took her into the hospital, and she did have whiplash.
Did the insurance company pay for the damage to your car?
Yes.
Whose insurance?
The person that hit us.
Did you sue on your behalf?
No.
Who else was in the car?
My husband was in the car, and she was in the car, and my son was in the car.
Anybody else injured besides your daughter?
Not in our car. I don't know about the other people.
Not in your car?
Right.
So what medical bills did you have for your daughter?
We had medical bills from the hospital in New Jersey where she was seen, and a hospital bill from a lab. I think it's in my paperwork.
Well, I'd like to see it.
This is the breakdown of where the money was supposed to go. It was for the radiologist. Everything else.
Did you pay these bills?
Yes.
Let me see.
I don't have the receipts. They were just paid for I think on my husband's credit card like 2 years ago, and we don't have the bill.
Your Honor, I was in foster care, therefore Medicaid paid for the bills. I was unable to get a hold of Medicaid. I was unable to get a hold of the hospital, but I do have copies of my physical therapy that I went through. Payments, and also the highlighted section is Medicaid adjustments and Medicaid paid.
Can I see it?
We did not ask them to pay anything that Medicaid paid. Her physical therapy, anything that happened in the state of Ohio.
I just need proof that you paid these bills.
I don't have it.
Well, that's unfortunate, because if she was in foster care, your daughter is absolutely right. If she was in foster care, then the state pays for any medical treatment that she had.
That's true. However, regardless of whether her bills were paid or not, It says on there that she's supposed to get $2,000 only. The other $2,000 was supposed to be for her bills. I thought if they were already paid, I would not have to bring any more proof. I mean, it's to pay her bills.
Let me ask you this question. Which one is it? Is it that you paid the bills, or you didn't pay the bills, but you felt as if $2,000 was supposed to be towards the bills, so you should be entitled to that? Which one was it?
The bills were paid.
By whom?
I paid them, and my husband paid them. They're on his...
All you have to do is show me.
I can't.
Listen to me, Miss Trentner. Even if you didn't pay, and Medicaid paid, only $2,000 of that $4,000 check was to go to your daughter, and you as her parent would be entitled to the other half.
No. The other money was to pay the bills. She was only entitled to...
Listen, I do not believe, madam, that... Stop playing with the paper. I do not believe that you paid the bills. I'm going to tell you why I don't believe that you paid the bills. First of all, you don't have any evidence that you paid the bills, and you don't look like an unintelligent woman. And if you're coming to court and saying, and your complaint says, half the money was to pay for the bills, that is your whole case. Your whole case is the bills.
No, ma'am, that was not why I wanted to see the judge. Why I wanted to come was because when I sent Jessica the check, she forged my name and took any money, period. It's the fact that she forged my name, or she had somebody forge the name on my check.
Then what you're saying is, it's not because you spent your own money out of your pocket to pay for her medical bills that you should be reimbursed for. You came to court and you wanted to see the judge because your daughter had forged your name and taken all the money.
Ma'am, that is correct. However,
all right.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
I don't care at this point about the $2,000 that is in dispute, whether you say I owe it or whatever. And you can keep the $2,000. I don't care. The dispute is she forged my name on the check.
And?
I would like her to have to pay for something that she's done wrong at least once in her life.
Ms. Triton, your daughter was under the age of 18 at the time you sent her this check, is that right?
That is correct.
And so she was still technically your responsibility?
No, ma'am.
She was She was your responsibility. You chose to abdicate that responsibility by putting her in foster care.
Can I tell you why she was put in foster care?
Sure.
When she was about 12 or 13, she started to hit people, and she would not stop. We had her arrested at least twice for domestic violence before she was put out of my house. I told her...
Right now, is it normal for a child who's 12 years old to act out in that way?
Yes, but...
You think it's normal for a child of 12 years old to act out in that way?
No, I don't.
Okay. So what did you as a parent do while she was living with you in order to try to get to the root of the problem as to why she was acting out in that way?
We sent her to counseling. I went to counseling with her. We tried to take my mom to counseling. We tried to get my son to go.
What do you mean you tried to take your mom to counseling?
My mom lived with us, and she would not go to counseling.
Well, was there a problem with your mother?
There's many problems with my mother, Judge.
Well, what was the problem with your mother and your daughter? What was the problem with your grandmother and you?
The main thing was before we had moved in with my grandmother, because for the longest time it was just me, my brother, and my mom. And then we decided, because my mother was working all the times, and me and my brother were from babysitter to babysitter, that it was just easier for us to live with my grandmother so she could watch us. Before we moved in with my grandmother, everything was fine. We were kids. We were allowed to go hang out, play with our friends, whatever. We moved in with my grandmother, and all that stopped. My brother was still allowed to do whatever he wanted, and I was constantly on lockdown. I wasn't allowed to talk on the phone, wasn't allowed to go hang out.
What do you mean you were on lockdown?
I was in the house 24/7. I wasn't allowed to go hang out with my friends. I wasn't allowed to go do anything school-related.
You mean your grandmother was strict with you?
Yes.
Okay. And you tried to get your mother to go to counseling?
Correct.
And your mother refused to go to counseling?
Exactly.
I assume you wanted your mother to go to counseling because you felt as if some of her behavior was not appropriate.
I felt between my mother, me, and Jessica that there was an issue that we needed to get to the bottom of. Yes.
Okay, and your mother refused to go?
Yes.
Your daughter went?
Yes.
You went?
Yes.
She's 12.
Actually, she was a little bit older.
She's 13. She's 14. I understand that you were a single mother and you had 2 children. but you put your daughter in a situation that you acknowledge was not the best situation for her with your mother, with somebody who refused to address any problems that there were, and you responded to that when your daughter started to act out, which I'm sure she acknowledges was inappropriate, inappropriate behavior, but she started to act out. Your response was, instead of moving out of your mother's house, you put her in foster care.
That's not exactly true. My mom lived with us because she could not work. She had nowhere else to go. My brother wouldn't take her. Nobody would take her.
Just a second. Is what you're telling me now that you had to make a choice between your mother and your daughter?
No.
That your mother had no place else to go and you couldn't put your mother in foster care, so you put your daughter in foster care?
No.
Come on.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to get what's happening here.
Can I kind of explain it? Jessica would go from hitting, then she went to punching. She tried to choke me. She went after her grandmother with a butcher knife. The reason that I finally put her out is because I told her, if you ever hit your brother, you cannot stay with me anymore. I put up with a lot of stuff. Even when she went to counseling, we found an excellent counselor for her, was working wonders for her. Then she decided that she didn't like him, and then she wouldn't talk to anybody. So when she hit her brother in the face, that's when I told her that she was no longer welcome in my home, because she was my daughter, and I didn't know what else to do.
Okay, so that's, just a second, so that's what you did. And then you had a problem with this check. Now, you don't have to answer me as to whether or not you forged your mother's name. You forged your mother's name, you cashed the check. That's what you did, right?
Correct.
Okay, what'd you do with the money?
I was living in my own apartment, and I needed furniture for my apartment.
How old were you when you were living in your
I was 17.
Okay.
Foster care has a program called independent living, and that's what they did. They put me in independent living. I needed pots and pans, dishes.
Okay, so you were living in an apartment?
Correct.
Did you know that she was living by herself?
Yes, I did.
Good. What did you do to help her set up in her apartment?
When she set up in her own apartment, we were already in New Jersey.
I didn't ask you where you were. I said, what did you do to help her set up in her own apartment?
When she called me, I asked her if she needed anything. She told me no, she was fine.
So the answer that you're telling me is you did nothing for her to set her up in her own apartment at age 17.
I asked her if she needed... Right, that's correct.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. The Kreitner says her daughter, Jessica Unterberger, stole her share of an insurance settlement.
Okay. So she says she needed furniture and pots and pans, and she needed some money. Were you working?
Yes.
What kind of work were you doing?
I was working at a pizza parlor.
Are you still working there?
No, that was in Ohio. I currently live in New York now.
And what do you do in New York?
During the summer season, I'm a soccer referee, and right now I'm working as a waitress.
Where?
At a restaurant on the east side.
You live alone?
Yes.
That's a hesitant yes.
Because I'm living in a room in a house. There's other people in the house, but it's my room.
So you rent a room?
Yes.
What's your rent?
$120 a week.
And how long have you lived there?
I've lived in this particular place for about 2 weeks now.
Prior to that, where were you living?
I was living in Ridgewood in another one room, and I was paying $90 a week there, and I lived there for 3 months. And before that, I was living with my fiance's parents.
And that didn't work out?
No.
So from the time you were 17 until now, you've taken care of yourself?
Correct.
You got my drift.
I don't understand why you want to believe her, because what she's telling you is not true.
Just a second. All I'm asking you is, you're her mother.
That's correct.
From the time she was 17 until today, other than this $2,000, how much money have you given your daughter?
None, because I did not know where she was.
Now you know where she was. Whether you know where she was or you don't know where she was, you've given her nothing, and she's managed to support herself.
If that's what you want to call it.
Well, she's managed to support herself.
But what she's telling you she does for a living is not what she does for a living.
Well, tell me what she does for a living.
She has tried to sue the state of New York twice.
Yeah.
She has lied to you about not where she lives, but who she lives with. And
listen to me. I asked you a simple question. You said to me she lied about what she does for a living. And I'm asking you, if she lied about what she did for a living,
she did.
You tell me what she does for a living. Suing the city of New York is not a living.
Understand that.
All right.
What she told you and what she told me was that she works in a restaurant and she gets paid under the table.
Who cares?
But that is not true.
Well, so tell me what she does.
I'm not sure. But I know she doesn't do that.
Let's try now. Let me tell you something. I was concerned.
You know what?
I'm speaking. I was concerned about your lawsuit from the beginning because it seems to me that you were.
Again,
I'm speaking. You were in a car. You were the driver of the car. Your minor daughter was injured in an accident that, according to you, and I have no reason to doubt you, was not your fault. I have children, and if one of my children was injured in an accident, and the accident resulted in that child getting a claim, why don't you try paying attention instead of crying because you're not going to get any money?
I don't care about the money.
Then just listen. Then just listen. It would seem to me what I would do is I would say, gee, here's $4,000. I'm going to put this in an account for my child, for their future, either for college or to set them up in an apartment or to help them maybe with a car. But certainly, I didn't pay out any money because I had insurance that covered the medical bills.
That's not
And
true.
you didn't pay any money because I don't believe that either you or your husband paid any money, because if you did, you would have the canceled check. You would have your credit card statement showing that you paid the amount 2 years ago, because if you knew you were coming to court and that's the evidence that you required, that's the evidence that you would have. You say you're angry because she forged your name and she should be taught a lesson. Well, it was the wrong thing for her to do, to forge your name and to take the money to use to set up an apartment. But at the time she was 17 years old, she was placed in independent living, you had your own apartment. You were working marginally to pay for whatever was in the apartment, and she needed the money. And since you weren't forthcoming with the money, and you knew how to reach her, because you knew where to send the check, you sent her the check and said, darling, sign the back of this check. When I get the money, I'll give you half.
That's not what happened.
That's what you told me in your complaint. You said, you want me to read you what you wrote? You said, I sent her the check unsigned. I sent it by certified mail.
That's correct.
Okay, so you knew where to send it.
Right after that.
Yeah, just a second. So you knew where to send it. And if you knew where to send it, was she in foster care or was she in her own apartment?
She was in her own apartment at that time.
And how much had you given her at that time to help her set up an apartment? A little slush funds.
Considering that I had just found out that she was on her own, I couldn't have sent her anything, could I have? I did not know.
Yes, just a second.
I did not know.
Yes, my dear, you could have. You could have said, here's $4,000 that I just got. But I'm speaking. You're on your own. I'm signing this check over to you, my sweetheart. I know you've had a difficult teenage time. We haven't always gotten along, but you're on your own now. Here's $4,000 that none of us anticipated because you decided to settle the case for her. Here's $4,000. I want you to take it. Whatever you don't need, listen, whatever you don't need to set up your apartment, put in a bank account and use it with my love. Because part of it should come to me, I'm giving it to you. That's what you should have done. You didn't do it then, you're doing it now. Your case is dismissed, that's all.
I can't believe this. You win again, you stupid.
My mom has a way of twisting things to make it out so that she's always right. She's always been against me, and I think the main part of that is because you look at me, she looks at me and she sees my father. It's been like this my whole life. I've been through foster care, I've been in and out of juvenile detention. Yes, I should not have hit her, but I had no other way to get out of that place. I don't want to get hurt anymore, so if this is how she's going to be, then I don't want to be around that. It's not healthy for me. I think I've paid enough for her. What kind of mother is she? She's just blood. That's all she is. She's not my mother. My foster mother, the one I was with for 2 years, that is my mother. You'll probably see us here in a couple years. She'll find something else.
Paulina Cardozo is suing Norma Jimenez and her 17-year-old son, Christopher Espinoza, for damages resulting from a car crash.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2054, Cardozo versus Jimenez Espinoza.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Cardozo, it is your claim that the defendants are responsible for an automobile accident.
Yes.
That both totaled your car and injured you and your child.
Yes, Your Honor.
When did this accident happen? What date?
On May 6th, Friday, 2022.
What time of the day?
It was around 7:10, 7:20 a.m.
Where were you going?
I was going to drop off my son to his babysitter.
Then where were you going?
Work.
Is that your regular route?
Yeah.
Your last name is?
Espinoza.
How old are you?
17.
You were driving that morning?
Yeah.
Yeah is not an answer.
Yes.
Yes is an answer. Who was in the car with you?
My little sister.
How old is she?
11.
Do you have a driver's license?
Now I do, yeah.
Did you, on May 6th, have a driver's license?
No.
I assume you were taking your sister to school.
Yes.
And then you were taking yourself to school.
Yes.
This was in May. How long had you been driving your sister to school?
6 months.
Where was your mother?
At work.
Did you drop her off at work first?
No.
How does she get to work?
Her own car.
Who owns the car that you were driving?
My mom.
So your mom has 2 cars?
Yes.
What other adults live in your house?
Just my mom.
Your mother?
Yes.
Your sister?
Yeah.
And you?
Yeah.
When was the car purchased that you were driving with your sister?
It was a gift.
Who was it a gift to?
Me.
Whose name is it in?
My mom's.
When did you get it? Month and year. Don't speak to him. When did you get it?
January.
January of 2022.
Yes.
So that's why you had been driving your sister for 6 months.
Yes.
The car is in your name?
Yes, Your Honor.
You know that he has no right to drive a car.
He had a driver's permit.
I don't care if he had a permit. You know he has no right to drive a car with a minor in the car.
Well, he took some classes, and we were told by the instructor.
No, don't tell me what you were told by the instructor, madam. Your insurance company disclaimed on this if you had insurance because he's not allowed to drive a car. Is that correct?
Yes.
What insurance carrier do you have on your car?
AAA.
Who insures the car that he was driving?
AAA.
On your name?
Yes.
When he had this accident, the insurance company, AAA, disclaimed on the accident because he was driving the car.
Yes.
Did they drop you from your policy? Did they drop your policy?
No.
Did they raise your rates?
No, because I was changing insurance at that time when the accident happened.
So you had no insurance?
We had insurance.
Just look at me. On the 6th of May, do you have proof that there was insurance on the car that he was driving?
Yes, Your Honor.
What carrier?
AAA.
And when did you change carriers?
It was May 5th, but it wasn't going to be effected until the following week.
So you had no insurance?
I hadn't called AAA to let them know that I was changing insurance at that time.
Again, I don't believe. Okay.
I was changing.
Just a second. You have to understand, madam, that to make your life more comfortable so that you could go to work and your little girl could get to school, you let an unlicensed driver drive a car. You have to understand that because he could have killed her and the child. It's outrageous that you let your 17-year-old who didn't have a license drive your 11-year-old daughter, put them in a place where they were in harm's way. You're just very lucky that both of them weren't hurt. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. If you think I'm being harsh, sir, I watched you when you walked in. You thought this whole thing was a joke. You came in smiling. It's not a smiling thing. You did the wrong thing, and if you start doing the wrong thing when you're 17 years old, when you're 27 years old, your mother will come visit you someplace where you don't want to be. Do you understand?
I smile when I'm nervous.
Excuse me?
I smile when I'm nervous.
You smile when you're nervous. Yeah. Well, your mother smiles when she's nervous, too, because she was smiling, too.
Yeah.
When you walked in here. What, you're not smiling now. You mean you're not nervous now? You're not smiling now. Now you're not nervous. Now I would be nervous. If I were you, I would be nervous. See what I mean?
Yeah.
Tell me what happened 7:30 in the morning on the 6th of May, which was a school day and a work day.
Okay, yes, Your Honor. So I was driving straight like normal on East, on Pleasant Valley. And as I was going on a green light into my intersection.
Do you have a photograph? Do you have any?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
And May 6th was a Friday, just so you know. May 6th was a Friday.
Yeah. Thanks. Your car is the red car?
Yes, Your Honor.
This doesn't tell me anything, actually. It just shows your car totally destroyed. Do you have a police report?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to see a police report.
Yeah, and I'll put it so she can kind of see my car, his car.
This is the diagram that the police prepared.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you were going straight?
Yes, Your Honor.
And he was making a left turn?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you were through the intersection?
Yes.
Looks as if you were through the intersection.
About to be. It was like in the middle of the intersection.
What kind of citations were you issued, sir?
Just without a license.
What?
Without a license.
Okay. I'm just letting you know, Ms. Jimenez, the plaintiff had visible injuries that the police noted. Do you understand that?
Yes.
The airbags went off?
All of them, Your Honor.
other than the marks that you had on you as a result of the seatbelts and the airbags going off, did you have any other injuries?
So that was actually my son.
That was your son?
Yeah, that was my son because of the seatbelts. Mine were both of my arms because when the airbags deployed, it crushed all my side. So both of my arms were bleeding.
You were making a left turn.
Yeah.
She was going straight.
Yes.
You had a green light, but she was going straight and she had a green light. Do you understand?
Yeah.
That means you can't left turn. She's going straight. That means she's got a green light. That's what it was. And you have to wait until she goes before you make a left turn.
Yeah.
Were they at the scene at the same time at any time?
No.
When your mother says that she asked Miss Cardoza, are you okay? That wasn't true.
No.
Was it true or it wasn't true?
And later today.
You have no proof here of anything. So I'm asking you, you want nothing or do you want your car back?
I want your $10,000.
I'd rather have my car back than nothing.
And
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Paulina Cardozo claims Norma Jimenez and her 17-year-old son, Christopher Espinoza, owe for damages resulting from a car crash.
okay. Now, when you got there, you started to yell at her. You want to tell me why? You want to tell me why you were yelling at her?
I didn't even yell at her. I got to the place, and then there was somebody waiting for me and told me that she had just hit them, like the person that there was a
You
witness.
can't tell me. Yeah.
There was somebody
He
that saw the,
he hit her.
Boy, there was somebody that saw the accident, but that person unfortunately couldn't be here.
Okay.
But
I'm asking you why you were yelling at her. Did you have a conversation with her?
I never had a conversation with her. I just asked her, are you okay? And then she said, they're taking my son to the hospital. That's all she said. And when I got there, the firefighter told me.
No, don't tell me what anybody told you, madam. Don't tell me what anybody told you. You called your mother?
Yes.
You used your cell phone?
No.
How did you call her?
My sister.
You used your sister's?
Yes.
And she came right over?
Yes.
Miss Cardoza was there when your mother got there?
Yes.
You want to answer me? Did your mother and Miss Cardoza, were they at the scene at the same time at any time?
No.
Before she was taken to the hospital?
No.
When your mother says that she asked Miss Cardoza, are you okay? That wasn't true.
No.
Was it true or it wasn't true?
It was true.
It was true, so that well, how did she communicate with Miss Cardoza if she didn't ask her, if she wasn't there? I'm going to ask you again. Was your mother at the scene when Miss Cardoza was also at the scene?
Yes.
And did you tell your mother that the accident was Miss Cardoza's fault?
No.
What did you tell your mother?
That we got in a car accident.
She didn't ask you what happened? Come on.
Yes.
Come on. Your mother asked you what happened.
Yeah.
And what did you tell her?
What happened?
Well, let me hear what you told your mother happened.
I was going in East Pleasant Valley Road. I put my left turn signal to go to the left turn lane.
You were in the left turn lane?
Yes.
And?
I waited to turn and turn.
And?
I was there and she swerved in and hit me.
She what?
She swerved in and hit me.
She swerved and hit you while you were making a left turn. She swerved into you. That's what you told your mother?
Yes.
Yeah. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
I feel like she was very fair.
To my understanding, what they have told me is like he was allowed to drive.
It's been a hardship for us.
And that's why I let him drive.
I was scared. I didn't know if he had broken something or something worse.
I only asked her, are you guys okay? Like, what happened? Somebody told me that it was you that hit them.
Till this day, it's haunting. My son doesn't like to get in the car anymore, so it's straining.
He wasn't even cited for the accident. He was cited for not having a license.
I think she thought it was my fault, and I feel like she still thinks it's my fault, but it was not my fault.
She was the one that hit him.
You need to have insurance, and you need to know how to drive.
I'm glad it's over.
This is a public service announcement to the governor of the state of California. Do everybody a favor. Propose legislation that mandates that if you drive without a license as an underage driver and you're caught, and or have an accident, you are ineligible to get a driver's license until you're 25 years old. That would probably be a deterrent for some people. Something is wrong with the system. Those are my words for the day.
Case number 2061, Laura versus Burke. All parties, please step forward.
Michael Laura is suing car seller Donald Burke for a vintage car title.
Mr. Lara,
Yes, Your Honor.
you had a truck,
Yes.
and that truck was a 2007
Yes, Your Honor.
Nissan Frontier.
Correct.
When did you purchase it?
I purchased it in 2019.
From whom?
From a private owner. I don't have his name, but I purchased it over on an auto app.
So you found it online?
Yeah.
So it's still online. How much did you pay for the car in 2019?
In 2010, I paid, 19, I paid $10,000.
I don't believe that. Let's try it one more time, Mr. Lara. Exactly how much did you pay for the car in 2019?
$10,000, Your Honor.
Show me a bill of sale.
I don't have that bill of sale from back then.
Okay.
I have only the title that I had.
Okay. Let's assume for the moment that that's almost accurate, because the truck is now worth
somewhere between $8,000 and $9,000.
So that would be a depreciation. So now it's worth $8,000.
Okay.
You decided to sell it.
Correct. To trade it.
And you put an ad online to sell it?
Yes, I did.
You, Mr. Burke, had a 1947 classic Chrysler sedan.
Yes.
When did you get that?
Beginning of the year.
Beginning of
22.
And where did you get it from?
A car dealer had it for sale.
Car dealer where?
Montclair, California.
You remember the name of the car dealer?
No, ma'am, I don't.
But it was the beginning of 2022.
Yes.
And was it an ad online?
No, I was driving by and saw the car. I kind of liked the way it looked.
How much did you pay for it?
$12,500.
Do you have a bill of sale?
No.
That was just this year. Why don't you have a bill of sale?
I have the registration and title.
I don't need the registration and title. I need a bill of sale.
I don't have one.
Difference when you buy it from a private party. But if you buy, do you have, it was the beginning of January. How did you pay for the car?
Cash.
Cash. Do you have a withdrawal from your bank of $12,500 to show me?
No, I don't.
Well, how do you expect me to decide this case? You have a claim, you have a counterclaim. Nobody has any proof. How do you expect me to decide? Each of you is suing the other for $10,000 without any proof of anything. How do you expect me to decide that?
Correct, Your Honor.
You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
You got it?
Yes.
You have the title. You have the keys. You have the truck. Understand this. Neither one of you are leaving here with a penny. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand?
No, I don't.
Michael Laura claims car seller Donald Burke owes him the title to a vintage car. Donald is countersuing, claiming Michael broke their agreement.
Okay. Do you have a car now?
Yes, I have a 2001 GMC truck.
No. You have his car?
Oh, yes, I have his car, yes.
You have his car?
Yes.
And you have his truck?
Yes.
What do you want me to do?
I wasn't the one that started this.
Okay, Your Honor.
He doesn't have the title.
Well, he never produced the money that he was supposed to produce.
I have his title to his vehicle. He signed it over to me, and he gave me the keys as well.
Okay. I didn't ask you anything. Well, I want you have the title, you have the keys, you have the truck.
Correct, Your Honor.
My question to you is, you have the title to his car. He paid, let's assume he's correct, that he paid $12,500 for the car in the beginning of 2022. That car, which is a classic car, is now for sale, because I looked it up, I don't remember the numbers, for?
Between $18,000 and $60,000 on the high end of what I've seen.
Okay, so it's worth considerably more than what you paid for it. Roughly $10,000 more than what you paid for it, right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
You don't know him, do you?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
There would be no reason why he would make you a gift. Is that right?
That's correct.
And you have the title for that car.
Yes.
Because you say, according to you, that he didn't fulfill his promise.
Correct.
His contract to pay you an additional amount for it. Now, you say he agreed to pay you an additional $10,000 for it.
Yes.
I don't know that because none of it's in writing. Anybody have any proof of that?
No, Your Honor.
No. Yeah, good. And you want your car back?
I would just...
You want your car... Well, I'm not giving you $10,000. I want you to just understand that.
Yes.
Because you have no proof here of anything that satisfies me. So I'm asking you, you want nothing or do you want your car back?
What's your $10,000?
I'd rather have my car back than nothing.
You'd rather than have your car back. And
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You have the car.
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
And you put in some money in the truck.
Yes, the catalytic converters were bad.
How much money did you put into the truck?
$2,165.
Okay. And you have proof of that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where?
Can I help him?
I don't need you for anything.
Here. And it still needs another $2,165 for the other side.
And you have the title to the car, is that right?
Yes.
Now, do you want nothing or do you want your truck back, even though he added money to it? Do you want nothing or do you want your truck back? That's my question to you. You want nothing or you want your truck back?
My truck.
Great. And you want your car back?
Yes.
Perfect. And both of you have agreed, because there was clearly some misunderstanding between the two of you, giving you the total benefit of the doubt, sir, that there was additional money to be forthcoming. I'm speaking. Understand this. Neither one of you are leaving here with a penny. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand?
No, I don't. I put
very,
$2,000
very,
into
very,
his truck.
very easy. Very easy, sir. You're getting back a car that you say is worth, she says, is worth $20,000.
Your Honor. Sorry.
It's not going to work for you. You're going to each end up with your own cars back. Since there was clearly a misunderstanding about the nature of the contract, what I'm telling you is I'm going to prepare an order that within 5 days of today's date, you are to exchange cars. Figure out where you want to do that, a mutually convenient place. That's the order of the court. Goodbye.
Court is adjourned.
Not even the $2,000 I put into his truck?
Goodbye.
This way, sir.
You can sell your 47 for a lot more money.
I didn't bring us here. He brought us here.
I liked this car. He liked my truck. When I got there, we did the exchange. He signed the titles. He gave me the keys to the vehicle.
Well, he gave me a truck that needed a $4,000 repair, and he didn't mention that when he gave it to me. And my car, was nothing wrong with my car.
I have always maintained my vehicle. I have records of it and everything.
I'll just keep my car.
No more business deals.
So I really agree with you that there was no meeting of the minds, because the defendant thought that the plaintiff was going to pay him an additional $10,000 for the 1947 Chrysler, and no one had any proof of anything. So it's really hard to come to court with zero proof on either side. So I think your ruling to leave them how they were found prior to any what they believed to be a contract was the right decision, because...
I'm so glad you felt that way.
Well, I mean, I was thinking to myself, looking over the papers, what's she going to do with this one? You know, it's hard because with no proof and a he said, she said verbal agreements with tangible items like vehicles, I probably would have done the same thing. I don't know what to make of this. I have nothing to look at, nothing to rely on.
And it was so interesting because they both bought these cars recently.
Mm-hmm.
Neither one of them had bill of sale, said he paid cash, $12,500, showed me where you withdrew the money from a bank. Mm-hmm. The whole thing was suspicious to me. So to me, the easiest thing to do was leave the parties
as you found them.
As you found them. They had no contract because there was no meeting of the minds as to what the particulars were of the contract. You get your truck back in a little better shape. You get your car back probably in a little better shape, and
be on your...
Nancy Kesselman is suing her son, Danny Horath, and his fiancée, Trinity Wilson, for living expenses, stolen property, and vet bills.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2049, Councilman versus Jorge Watson.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Horath, this is your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is your girlfriend.
My fiancée, yes, ma'am.
Is she divorced?
She's widowed.
Since when?
June 6th.
Of what year?
2022.
Well, let me understand this. Prior to you being a widow, you were involved with Mr. Horath. Were you divorced?
I was going through a divorce.
Okay. And then he passed away.
Yes.
Mr. Horath, in 2013, you were incarcerated. How long?
5 years.
And you have 2 little girls.
Yes, ma'am.
When you were incarcerated, were the children living with you
No.
prior to being incarcerated?
Yes.
They were living with you?
Yes.
When you went to prison, was there any reason the children didn't go with their mother?
She left him with my mother.
So your mother obtained custody of your children 9 years ago
Yes.
and raised them.
Yes.
You got out of prison when?
September 2017.
And when you got out of prison, your mother invited you to come and live in the house?
Yes.
In her house?
Yes, ma'am.
Who else lives in her house?
My grandmother.
Who I understand from these papers is suffering from
Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's. So your mother was taking care of her mother and your 2 daughters.
Yes.
So your fiance now, who looks as if she's expecting a child, was your mother's next door neighbor?
Yes.
And you became involved with her when?
End of October 2020, or 19, I'm sorry.
And when you became involved with her, you have 2 children.
Yes.
You invited her with your mother's permission to move in to your mother's house with her 2 children.
Yes, ma'am.
We did agree that she could move in and stay in the guest.
Had you been living in the house by yourself with the 2 girls?
Yes, I have.
How large a house is it?
It's pretty good, decent size. It was a 1,980 square feet, now expanded out another 800 feet, so quite. 5 bedrooms, 3 baths.
How do you support yourself?
I own my own business. I'm a nurse. Due to the fact of taking care of my granddaughters and my parents at the time, I had to resign from Fort Irwin, working there because of couldn't commit to the hours. So because of that, I went ahead and got my own business of doing home infusions, and that started right before the pandemic. And so I work a lot.
Anybody help you take care before they moved in? Anybody help you take care of the girls and your mother?
No, it was me.
Now, what kind of work do you do?
I'm a truck driver.
And you?
Nursing student and mother?
So you don't work?
No.
How do you support yourself?
I was going to school and...
Well, supporting yourself doesn't going to school unless you were getting money for going to school. Were you getting money for going to school?
Yes.
From whom?
From financial aid.
How much?
Maybe like $800, $900 a month. And this was before I was living with Danny and Nancy.
And after you moved in with Danny and Nancy?
I was helping her take care of her mother, and her VA was paying me to take care of her.
She was getting the Veterans Aid and Attendance. I gave her that extra money to help out with my mom and those expenses.
And then currently, I'm taking care of our young son we have together.
So you have a child together and expecting another one?
Yes.
So then you'll have 4 children, correct? Yes. And you will have 4 children?
I will have 4 children, yes.
Sounds as if your mother did some very nice things for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Sounds as if Miss Castleman did some very nice things for you.
Yes.
Why do you think she's suing you?
Out of anger.
Mr. Horath, why would she be angry at either one of you?
Because we decided that we were going to go ahead off and do our own thing, and she was no longer included in being part of that.
Like what?
Well, being part of a family or a unit. Once my grandmother's health declined and she went to a facility, there was no more communication about anything that was going on around the house anymore.
I don't know what you mean by that. Your fiancé's arrangement was that she was being paid by the VA to take care of your grandmother.
Yes.
And then your grandmother, according to you, had to go into a facility.
Yes.
Which means your fiancé isn't getting any more payment from the VA.
Correct.
Now, you're working, you drive a truck.
Yes.
Were you contributing towards the running of the household?
Oh, of course, yes.
How much?
Whatever needed to be paid.
No. Tell me what you paid.
I paid the Edison, half the Edison.
Well, that's not a set amount.
I paid $300 a month.
Well, that's an amount. So you paid $300 a month towards the Con Edison.
Yes, ma'am.
What else did you pay?
We paid for the trash.
How much was the trash?
$50 a month.
What else?
I paid for the food.
For who?
For our family.
Well, for all of you or just for you, your fiancé, and the 4 children?
And my grandmother, yes. And my grandmother and Nancy, too.
Not for me.
Shh.
Speak. She would come over and have dinner with us quite often. And I would make her meals and send them to her.
What you're saying is, because I read when you said she would come over for dinner, there came a time when there were an awful lot of people living in the house, and your mother, because it was so crowded, moved into a trailer on the premises, and you moved into the master suite.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Say thank you, Mom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
Now, did you pay for anything else that you're not telling me?
Yes, we paid for the internet.
Their internet.
Yes.
Shh. For your own internet?
Yes.
I'm talking about expenses for the house. I assume the mortgage was paid off. Is that what you wrote here?
Danny did pay for the property taxes.
Okay. Well, then that was my next question. Property taxes. Did you pay for any of that?
Yes.
How much did you pay?
It was $1,264 a year.
Anything else?
Remodeling expenses that we did to the home.
I know it was expanded, and it was expanded after you were there.
Yes.
Yes. And do you know how much the remodeling expenses were?
The additions were done before I came home, but everything else was added to when we were living there.
Like what?
The pellet stove had went out, so we bought a new one.
Oh, that's I'm not interested.
Okay.
I'm not interested in that. I'm talking about regular. So let me get to my trusty computer. We have $300 a month for Con Ed. So I don't even have to do that. I could do 1, 2, 6, 4. Everybody knows me now. I'm a little challenged with regard to these things. Divided by 12 equals $105 a month. And $300 a month for Con Ed and $50 for trash is $5. So you paid in total the expenses that you told me, $455 a month for living in a 5-bedroom house. I'm just setting the stage for this. You paid $455 a month for living in a 5-bedroom house, and your mother moved out to live in a trailer so that you could be in the master suite with your fiance, a new baby, and one on the way. Those are the objective facts that I have.
Okay.
Now, so I asked you, because your mother is suing for a lot of stuff, and I don't understand why somebody would take this approach when she was nothing but good to both of you. You screwed up your life. She got stuck raising your 2 children, working full-time, and taking care of a sick mother. You go to school, and you're a full-time mother, but that's very nice, but she's not your mother, she's not your grandmother, she's nobody to you. Mm-hmm. And she took you in and your 2 children. What do you think you did to make her so angry that she would sue you? I'm curious.
I honestly don't know.
Well, you started to tell me that you moved on because she ultimately gave you notice to leave.
We actually gave her notice we were leaving, and that's when all that started.
Okay. Did you also tell your mother that you wanted to buy the house?
Yes, I did.
From her?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Well, that started the trouble. And your mother's response was?
Of course. She said, okay.
And what happened?
I went and applied for a loan. They told me that I did not meet the criteria for the loan. I said, okay, that's fine. What about a rent-to-own option to buy? And she said, okay. We tried to get a real estate agent to go ahead and write out the contract. At that point in time, she wanted to move one of her nurses onto the property, into the trailer that she was living in. I did not feel comfortable with a stranger living on our property. I don't know them. I don't want them around my children. I don't know who they are. And if I'm going to be buying a home, I wouldn't want to.
You're not buying anything. You were renting.
With the option to buy. I want to buy the home, and then when I go back to apply for the loan in a year, I was going to buy the home.
Maybe, maybe not. Mr. Horath, so far, you see, you have somebody who has done all things to make your life, which you screwed up a little bit, more comfortable. Takes you in, takes your girls in, takes your girlfriend in, takes your girlfriend's kids in, allows you to have more latitude and more freedom by moving herself out of her own home, which is totally paid off, into a trailer so that you could be more comfortable. And she said, you want to buy the house? Fine. You couldn't get a loan. Well, could I rent to buy? She says, okay. But she's still a working person, as opposed to your fiancé. You ratified the gift by buying her something that could only be utilized with that machine. So I'm not interested in the machine. Could we move forward, please? I have 7 years of postgraduate education. I'm getting very tired of this case.
Nancy Castleman, claims her son, Danny Horath, and his fiancée, Trinity Watson, owe for living expenses and stolen property. Danny and Trinity say they always paid their share of the bills.
Okay. Now, she's still a working person, and she said, I would like to move one of my nurses. She's not talking about moving in some sex offender into a trailer next to her grandchildren, who she's raised. So I wouldn't see what your problem is with that, but that's neither here nor there. So that started an acrimonious separation. I'm not going to rent the house because I'm not going to allow you to move somebody that I don't know. I'm not even going to meet them. Somebody that I don't know into the trailer. Where are you living now?
We have our own home now.
Where?
Because we didn't agree with, we didn't want to live with her nurse, so we went
Just a second. I said the question is, where is your own home?
in Hellendale,
Is that where she lives?
near
How near?
10 miles up the road.
And when did you move there?
July 14th.
How big a house?
It's a 3-bedroom, 3-bath.
Who owns the house?
We're renting.
And how much are you paying in rent?
$2,500.
So you got a smaller house at 5 times what you were paying her. Is that what I'm hearing? You paid $455 monthly to your mother.
We also paid her van payment, but we
What?
also used the van. Her van payment, it was $900 a month.
Did you use the van?
Yes.
Oh, good. Then you,
Well,
good.
we used it to also take her mother to.
Did you use the van
Yes.
for you and your children and his children?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. So I want to know if she's right down the road and she was good to you for a decade, why is she not included with your family anymore?
She chose not to be.
Really?
Yeah, she wants to work all the time. When we invite her to do things or family functions or church functions, she would never come.
Well, you say never. You just moved out a month ago.
This is prior to us moving out. We haven't talked to her since we moved.
You mean prior to you moving out, you would invite her?
Oh, yeah.
And what you said was, could you read that back? She's working all the time? Is that, I just want to know if that's what he said.
He said, yeah, she wants to work all the time. When we invite her to do things or church functions, she would never come.
Okay. Unpaid living expenses, electric bill. All right, let's get to the electric bill. He said he paid $300 a month. What does he owe for the electric bill and for what months?
I was on a level pay plan for every month, and it went up higher. The rates have increased in the past year. So that was $900. It was $1,800, the bill that came out. So it actually increased over the last year, and I have copies of that. So I asked for them to pay half.
Did they ever pay the extra money?
No.
Okay. And they continue to live there?
That just came up in May, yes.
Okay, well, then I'm not interested in that. Go ahead.
And
what else? What other living expenses?
Well, the other electric bill, they were still there. They didn't pay for that one.
Which one?
The one from June to July.
Were you there in June, July?
Yes, ma'am. And I have evidence that I did pay.
Okay, I'd like to see it.
Paid 3, not the whole amount.
No, I did pay.
Just let me see that you paid it. June 19th, $600.
That was not for this electric bill. It was for...
No, that was for Edison.
It says Con Edison.
Yes.
There was another bill that still needed, it was like $723.
I don't care.
That he owed me
I don't care. He paid $600 in June of 2022. You have vet bills here and personal items taken without permission. And the personal items taken without permission, you took some of her things. What did you take that didn't belong to you?
Nothing.
Well, you acknowledged that you did. You acknowledged that either you or your fiancé took things that didn't belong to you. You said you returned them, but you took them.
They were packed by other family members that were helping us pack.
And?
So
they were taken without her permission?
Yes.
By your agents, by people who were helping you, so
yes.
They were your agents. What was taken?
I guess there was a gun that
Not guess. I don't want to hear guess.
There was a gun that was packed.
Okay. Did you get the gun back?
I got the gun back next day.
It was returned, yes.
What else?
That's as far as I know.
What else was missing?
The ammo.
The ammunition for the gun.
I don't have any ammunition.
I wouldn't have a gun without ammo.
Well, go and look for it. What else?
KitchenAid machine.
What is that?
A KitchenAid for mixing and making. I bought that for my mom. They took that.
That was given to us by my grandmother because she can no longer bake, or actually given to her because she bakes.
And she even, for Mother's Day, Nancy brought, her and Granny, her mother, Nancy brought me the attachment it makes pasta for the KitchenAid for Mother's Day. So she was aware that her mother gave me, when she moved to the facility, that she gave me the make.
Oh, she moved to a facility, she can't make a gift. If she's moving to a facility because she has Alzheimer's, she can't make a gift.
I have power of attorney over her.
Now, if what you're telling me is that you did take it and that the plaintiff sort of ratified that by buying you an attachment for it for Mother's Day, that I'll ask her about. Okay. Now, Ms. Castleman, listen to me very carefully. Did you buy Miss Watson around Mother's Day a pasta attachment for the KitchenAid?
Yes, ma'am, I did. Okay. For my mom, with my mom.
I don't...
Because they were supposed to be cooking together.
No. No. You bought an attachment for it, and if you buy an attachment, that was a gift, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you made the gift, you handed the gift to whom?
To Trinity.
Right. So even if your mother didn't have the mental capacity, you could have argued, to make a gift, and it was yours, you ratified the gift by buying her something that could only be utilized with that machine. So I'm not interested in the machine. Could we move forward, please? I have 7 years of postgraduate education. I'm getting very tired of this case.
Okay.
Anything else? Vet bill. Now we'll get to the vet bill. Okay. You had to go to the emergency room when and for what, Ms. Castleman?
I was having issues with my stomach. I was diagnosed with diverticulitis and had to go to the emergency. I can imagine. When? That was in June, beginning of June.
June of this year. Who took you to the emergency room?
I had to take an Uber. I couldn't drive.
Who was home?
Trinity and her family.
And her family. Mm-hmm. And when you went to the emergency room, where was the van?
The van was at the home.
Why didn't she take you to the emergency room?
She said she couldn't do that. She said that she was too busy and stressed out.
Is that right?
I was dealing, my children's father just passed away that day.
And I was there with
Just a second. You were separated from him. Why couldn't you take her to the emergency room?
Because my children just found out that their dad passed away. So I was dealing with their emotions.
Just a second. I'm just trying to figure out why you couldn't take her to the emergency room. You've been living with your mother for a while now, since you got out of jail. How many times has your mother been to the emergency room?
Quite a few.
How many?
More than 10 that I know of.
And did you take her to the emergency room since you've been home?
I have before, yes.
How many times did you take her?
2 to 3 times, at least.
When was the last time you took her?
Maybe a year ago.
And what was wrong then?
Her sciatic nerve.
Did you wait with her?
Yes, ma'am.
Good, because that's the right thing to do.
Yes.
Yeah. Excuse me a second.
Get it.
Okay. Don't write to me if you're a fly lover. I don't care. You did absolutely nothing wrong. If I looked up the word ungrateful in the dictionary, their pictures would be there.
Nancy Castleman has accused her son, Danny Horath, and his fiancée, Trinity Watson, of taking advantage of her kindness. Danny and Trinity claim Nancy became upset when they stopped doing her favors.
Well, Miss Watson, I know that you have an excuse. If it were me and I had been living off somebody else for years, I would have put my kids in the van and say, we have to take Grandma to the emergency room. That would just be me. And deal with my children in the van 5 minutes later.
And I would have if I wasn't dealing with my children at the time, and she was aware of that. I think she even took a Lyft or an Uber. She let me know it was okay.
I'm just telling you. I'm trying to get some sympathy going for the two of you. I'm not getting any sympathy going for the two of you. Did she ask you to watch her dog?
No, she, like normal. I have a dog, too, on the property, and it was a mutual agreement that anytime one of us were gone, we would always make sure the dog went out to use the restroom. But the day her dog had an injury, I wasn't home.
Where were you?
Gymnastics competition.
It just happened at night.
When was your dog injured?
On the day that I went to the ER. I asked her before, I said, I have to go, my lift is here, you know, and can you feed my dogs? And because they're in their trailer still, and Tom Molly's still on the bed, and I didn't want her jumping down, and can you take them out? I don't know when I'll be back. The Uber was there, or the Lyft was there, and I left. And when I came back home, it was about 5:30 in the morning. I noticed the dogs were in there, and that Asher was cut up. He had big old laceration.
Did you know what happened? Could you figure out what happened?
No, I think I know now that it was probably under their trailer while he was out, because she did say that she took him out, but she forgot to feed them, and she was home.
That night I was home, yeah.
Did you see her dog injured?
No.
Did you feed her dog that day?
No, I did forget to feed the dogs. I took her small dog, Tamale, off the bed, and I had them go out, and then I put them right back in, and I went back on to the house.
And you forgot to feed them?
Yes, I did.
Okay. But when you went in there, the dog was not injured?
No, he was not.
Okay. The last part of this, and then I'm actually finished. Money owed for unpaid living expenses. Anything other than what we have discussed?
They're supposed to pay rent.
Starting when?
It was supposed to initially have been in November for January of 2022, because since my mom had to go away because she couldn't take care of her anymore, I had to do what I have to do.
You mean after she stopped watching your mother?
Mm-hmm. That's when I mostly enforced it. But there are text messages that they agreed to pay.
I'd like to see them.
Okay.
I understand, Mr. Horath and Miss Watson, that the agreement was that you would live there paying certain expenses but not rent, as long as you, Miss Watson, and or Mr. Horath, when you were home, would take care of her mother so that she could work.
Yes.
And that stopped at a particular point.
Yes, in May.
That stopped in May.
Yes.
Okay. Well, it does seem that there were arguments back and forth about these expenses, but never wholly an understanding that that was going to happen.
Your Honor, I had several conversations with my son while he was truck driving. He didn't really talk to her particularly because I think she had a lot of influence on that. He would have done the
Whether he did or whether he did, this comes from Danny himself. He says, okay, check this out. I'll call the state inspectors for the septic room additions in the bathroom that needs permits first.
She did.
Just a second. What kind of thing is that? How many times have you been married?
2.
And how old are you?
37.
How many times have you been married?
2.
And how old are you?
28.
And that's 2 in addition to this current engagement.
No, then it would just be 1.
And you?
Just 1.
Well, then you're not married, so you've each been married once before.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want you to look at your mother. Maybe in the next couple of years, maybe, she will be here, and maybe she won't. I'm sure when you married the first time, you expected that to be forever because you made a couple of children, right?
Yes.
I hope you'll be able to see that face for a very long time, but she had another husband before you. You're only going to have one mother. And your mother was really good to you and really good to a stranger and her children. And she didn't invite them in and say, well, I'm going to apply for some assistance because now, no. She worked all the time. According to you, she chose to work. She chose to work all the time instead of going to church with you. You have no idea how ridiculous that sounds. You have no idea how ridiculous it sounds to me that Miss Watson says to me, I have children. I can't work. Well, she had 2 children, yours. And she worked and had your 2 children that she had to take care of. And she's much older than Miss Watson. Do you understand?
Yes.
If you have a work ethic, you have a work ethic. If you don't have a work ethic, you don't have a work ethic. But right now, she took care of you since you got out of jail. That's a long time. And for you to cut her off from yourself and her grandchildren is pretty outrageous to me. But you're 37 years old, and you have 4 children. Now 6, because they don't have a father anymore, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I don't know what you were doing with all your extra money, but to your mother you were paying $400 a month for a 5-bedroom house, and now you're paying $2,500 a month rent in a 3-bedroom house, and I assume that that's plus trash, Con Edison, and internet, and everything else that goes along with the house. So I don't know who's paying for that, unless you were just stashing away money. I don't know. I doubt it. I don't even want to go into it. Anyway, Miss Castleman, it's not worth it. You did the right thing with him. You took him in. You did absolutely nothing wrong. But you didn't have a contract with him. And you didn't have a contract with her. And I can't enforce giving you money when there was no enforceable contract. But if I looked up the word ungrateful in the dictionary, their pictures would be there. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I'm grateful for the things that she did say so that they can understand where I'm coming from.
She has no control. She gets upset and wants to see revenge in any way she can.
Those words are not from him. I know my son.
We had a good relationship before all of this transpired.
They don't get it.
Well, I hope that we can all eventually get back to that point for the sake of the kids.
You know, I don't think that there's a legal lesson there to learn, Sarah.
I know, it's just so unfortunate because I feel for the plaintiff. As a grandmother, as a mother, you try and do the right thing, and just to feel so taken advantage of. And I didn't hear a good reason. I was waiting the whole time to hear a good reason for why she was this terrible person that they had to move away from, but it never came.
Well, the only thing that I came up with was that she agreed to let them rent the house, rent to buy.
Yes.
Because they couldn't buy the house. They didn't have sufficient funds. But there was a condition. Now, she was living in a trailer on the property. She said, I want to be able to move somebody in there because I'm going to have to find another place to live, and I'm going to need money. If I sold the house, I would have some money.
And I'm sure to pay for her mother in care costs money as well.
She's a hardworking lady. She had 2 little kids that she had to take care of, in addition to a sick mother, in addition to working full-time.
A lot of stress.
While this one is in prison and the girlfriend is going to school.
No legal lesson, but hopefully they work it out.
Hopefully. Be too bad if they didn't.
Yeah.
Are you having a family dispute? Go to Judy Justice. 20-year-old Hannah Buellman is suing her former boyfriend, Ryan Trunell, for the cost of a car, an assault, and filing a false restraining order.
Court come to order. All rise.
Be seated, please.
Hello, Judge. Hi. Case number 204, Bernero versus Trunell.
Thank you, Kevin. Now, you have to tell me, are you Miss or Mr.?
For the duration of this case, I will refer to as Mr. for legal terms.
Mr. Trunell.
Correct.
Okay. Ms. Buellman, you and the defendant dated for how long?
2 years.
And according to what I read, during part of that period of time, you lived at your mom's house.
Yes.
From when to when?
From January to May.
Of what year?
2021.
Had you lived with each other prior to that?
Yes.
Where?
At his mom's.
And how long had you lived at his mom's?
About a year, once I turned 18.
Prior to your moving into his mom's, were you ever together?
Yes.
Where?
Well, we didn't live together. We were just, we were seeing each other, I mean.
From when to when?
From April to December of 2019. And then I moved in at the beginning of 2020.
So for a long time. Did you have plans to marry and had you discussed it?
Yes.
True?
You had those conversations, yeah.
Great. This case actually has to do with funds that you put in to a car that was supposed to be used by both of you, but since you didn't have a license, the car was put in your name. And the relationship took a bad turn, and you have the car. Is that right?
Yes.
And you, Ms. Buellman, want the money that you put into the car.
Yes, we agreed that I would get my half of the money if he kept the car.
Well, you didn't put in half the money. You only put in, according to you, a deposit.
Yes.
So you're not entitled to half the car. At most, you're entitled to your deposit back, and that's what I have to determine. Now, Mr. Trunell, the allegation is that you filed a false restraining order against the defendant, and I believe you spent a little time in custody. Is that correct?
Yes, they took me in and fingerprinted me.
And that was after the breakup?
Yes.
All right, so let's go to the car. You were living with your mother when the car was purchased?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Trunell, month and year the car was purchased?
May of 2021.
So that was immediately prior to the breakup?
Yes.
What kind of car was purchased?
2014 Ford Focus SE.
And the purchase price?
We put down a deposit of $7,000. Total purchase of the car was just under $11,000.
So there was finance charge on the car. Who financed the car?
I did.
Through what institution?
My bank account. I was paying it through my debit card while I was working.
I understand that, but what institution? What
Bank of
America. Bank of America. And what were the monthly payments?
$200, around there.
So if the car was purchased immediately prior to the breakup, the plaintiff really didn't get any benefit or use of the car. Very little, maybe at most 30 days. That be a fair statement?
I'd say so.
Fair statement?
Yes.
And how much, Ms. Buellman, did you put into the car?
I put in $6,000.
Is that correct?
Correct.
I'd like to see proof that you put in $6,000.
And then I also have bank statements.
Sarah, would you do me a favor, just add up these figures for me, please? I'd like to see the bank statement.
There's one page that is not highlighted.
Totals to $7,000, Your Honor.
What is this that you gave me?
My bank statements for what I paid at CarMax, and then what I take out, I did because I did a cash deposit. So everything I took out at the ATM, I put right into my cash flow envelope I had for savings for the car. But there are 2 CarMax transactions. I did it in cash because I was told that it would be cheaper if I did it in cash because it won't be taxed if it was compared to a card.
Yeah, but these figures don't add up to the same thing as that.
Well, he did pay a little because that is $7,000.
No. But these figures I have on the 13th of May, which is when this car was purchased. I have you took out $800. You took out $1,520. You took out another $100.
Yes.
I may be missing something, but that's all I see.
No, and then, like I said, the ATM on the other 2 bank statements, it says $700, $800, and I believe another $500 for everything I took out in cash for down deposit.
I'm not following that. Are you understanding this? Take a look at this.
Sure.
So she's saying that these PNC bank statements was cash withdrawals that she then used towards, I'm assuming, this large $5,380 first bill, because the totals from this are only total to $2,420.
Right. Well, that's all I have. That's your bank statement. This thing that you handed me first is actually unreliable because my 14-year-old child could make that up on a computer. I'm looking at your bank statement, which looks different from my bank statements, but I'm prepared to accept it. Do you have the invoice for the car that you purchased?
I have the contract, the bill of sale.
Contract. Yeah, I'd like to see it. And I'd like to see your bank statement, please.
I don't have bank statements with me.
Any reason?
In my search, there were no correlations on May 13th towards the purchase. Only records that came up were towards the insurance and car payments that followed after the date. So I did not believe it was reasonable for me to submit that as evidence.
In the future, you should let the fact finder determine whether it's reasonable or not, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, when you finance the car, what this requires you to do is to maintain insurance.
Yes.
And it requires you to maintain insurance for both liability and collision until the remainder of the loan is paid off.
Yes.
Did you?
Yes.
Good. Now, without going into anything else, the 2 of you are no longer together. We may have to get into that later on the protective order, but the car was totaled.
Yes.
After the breakup.
Yes.
And the car was totaled and insured so that there was payment by the insurance company.
Yes.
How much?
$6,000.
Do you have any proof of that?
No.
Now, when you received the $6,000, the balance of your loan was $7,000. When was the car totaled?
September 29th of 2021.
So you had the car for a few months and made a few payments.
Yes.
Okay. Well, this looks to me as if she put down most of the down payment.
Yes.
And that at most you paid registration, tags, and a couple of car payments, which didn't total $6,000.
Correct.
Well, why didn't you give her the rest of the money? Are you following me? I mean, that doesn't seem like rocket science. It wasn't your money. The 2 of you broke up, and it's clear to me that you had a minimal investment in this dollar-wise.
The reason I didn't was mainly because I was the only person that could hold on to the car and keep it legally because it was under my insurance. Okay. I was able to finance it from there.
Okay. Well, what you should have said to me was, I got a check for $6,000, but the $6,000, didn't that have to go to Bank of America?
Yes, it did. It went to Bank of America, went to my account. I used it towards paying off medical bills from the accident, and I used it towards rent for my home.
Well, why didn't you use it towards paying off the car loan?
The insurance company had paid off the rest of what I was owed to pay on the car to CarMax. They paid it off.
Oh, so they paid it off, plus they gave you $6,000.
No, let me correct. I apologize. I'm very nervous. The insurance company, after the incident, had paid off the rest of what was owed to CarMax from me.
Okay, so the insurance company paid off to the lender.
Yes.
Which was left, which was, let's say, $6,000.
Yes.
And in addition to that, they sent you a check.
Yes, I used that check towards my bills, and I used it towards my rent.
Okay, well, that you can't do, because that really wasn't your money. You didn't spend that money. Didn't you feel as if it was appropriate to give it back to her?
I would have if I wasn't in the situation that I was. And
what situation were you?
I was injured.
Who is this? Is this your mother?
Yes.
Okay. Are you living with your mom?
Yes.
Okay. Well, so you weren't on the street. I assume that you feed your child when you have to.
He was actually taking care of me at that time.
Oh, great. Well, if you had the money to take care of your mother, then you should have returned the money to her. So she's entitled to that money. You were compensated for it by the insurance company, and you had no right to keep it for your own bills. Okay. Got it?
Yes.
Easy. Easy peasy. Now, next is your allegation that he assaulted you and filed a false restraining order.
Yes.
Okay. So now let's jump to you are no longer living together. This is after May of 2021. You had an encounter, according to your papers, with the defendant. Tell me when and where that happened.
So October 6th at a Gloucester City park, right down the street from where I was staying. So I walked there. And we both agreed for me to pick up my things because he still had some of my belongings.
Did you make the appointment to meet by text, by email?
Yes.
Text?
Yes.
Anybody have those texts?
Let me see if I do.
I do not. My phone was destroyed.
I only have the text from when he texted me the car accident when I said I was planning to take my car back. And right after that, I then planned to meet up with him to get the rest of my stuff back.
Okay. Well, you don't have the text involving that. Okay. So you did, in fact, meet at a park.
Yes.
How did you get there?
I walked there. I was staying at a friend's house.
How did you get there?
I drove my mother's car.
Okay. Now you're in the park. Tell me what happened. And this is in October.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So we meet at the park, and he gives me my belongings. And then I asked him, because throughout the breakup and afterwards, I knew there was some things he was hiding from me. So I asked him if he was hiding anything, and to get some closure, I just wanted the truth. And so from then, he was getting a little frustrated about it. And I was just saying, I don't know what I did wrong. And then he threatened to hit me. And then I said...
You said to him, I don't know what I did wrong.
Yes.
Because he moved out.
Well, from the reason he told me we broke up, he said it was mental illness. And then I felt like I wasn't helping if I could do any more. I felt like I could have done more because I was very accepting of who he is now. And so since that happened and I was so accepting of him, then he threatened to hit me. And I was very confused. And I just said, okay. And then he shoved it and swung at me.
And at no time did you hit him?
After that, I did defend myself and I did hit him.
What did you hit him with?
Just my hands. I pushed him just to get him off of me.
Was he injured?
By scratches, yes.
Where?
On the face. There was like 2 scratches I saw.
And what about you?
I had bruises on my shoulders, both shoulders, and then I had a swelling on my head.
Either of you have photographs of the injuries?
I do.
I'd like to take a look at them.
20-year-old Hannah Buhlman says ex-boyfriend Ryan Trunell is responsible for a car down payment and injuries from an assault. Ryan said he was the one assaulted.
Either of you have photographs of the injuries?
I do.
I'd like to take a look at them.
Thank you.
Okay. How did it end, the incident in the park?
So I just pushed him on the ground and I walked away.
And where did you go?
I first went back to his house. I did go to his house because he still had one of my big bags.
Okay, so after this incident, you pushed him down. You went back to his house with him?
No, I with my friend.
Well, your friend wasn't with you in the park.
Yes, I walked to my friend's house. I let him know what happened, and then we drove to his house so I can get the rest of my belongings that I couldn't carry home.
And what happened when you got to his house?
So I told him, I said, hey, I'm sorry. I even put my hands up, and I'm like, I just want the rest of my belongings back because I didn't think I would get it back. And so then he just told me, sorry, I told you I was mentally unstable. And I'm like, I just want my stuff back. And I grabbed it and I left.
So you got your things back?
Yeah.
And you both said, I'm sorry. Does that sound correct?
No.
Well, tell me your version of, you had this argument in the park.
We had an argument in the park. She was asking me questions about why the relationship had ended. I had explained that it was through emotional turmoil, mental illness, and that she was not being very supportive. She was very toxic, and she was very aggressive with me. And when I had told her that I was going through all of this stuff and that I felt bad for things that happened in the relationship, I told her that you need to understand that you did me wrong too. She said, so what? I pushed her. She swung first. I swung back. We fought. We broke up the fight in the beginning. I apologized. Her items were on the ground. I picked them up. I handed them to her. She punched me in the face twice. Post that, grabbed my hair, pulled it, and then we broke up the fight after. I got in my car. I went home first. She went back across the street to her friend's place. I was at the apartment. I was just talking to my landlords about some stuff that my mother and I had to take care of. I don't exactly remember. As I was coming back up from the apartment, her and her friend had walked up threatened to charge me with assault and demanded the $7,000 for the car then and there. I said I didn't have it. I apologized for what had happened.
Didn't have it. You apologized for spending the money?
Yeah.
That's what part of the argument was about, back at your apartment.
Well, there wasn't an argument on that. I apologized for it, but she still wanted the money. She demanded the money.
Well, so the money was part of the argument.
Yes.
Did you both go to the police station?
Yes. Yes.
And who went first?
I did.
But you didn't go to the police station immediately after the incident. You went to the police station after she said she's going to charge you with assault.
Yes.
And do you have a copy with you of the police report that you filed?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
You have a copy of the police report you filed?
I do not.
You do not. Okay. So you were not injured, and what I'm putting together here is that you went to the police station and filed this because she had threatened to go to the police and charge you with assault. You went there, got there first, and you got there second. Is that right? And by the time you got there, is that the time they took you into custody?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever, Mr. Trinell, seek medical attention for any of these injuries that I see in these photographs?
No.
The answer is either yes or no.
No.
And you do acknowledge, Mr. Trinell, that the initial aggressor, physical aggressor, which is what you testified to. Let's go back to his initial testimony, Whitney. I believe he testified that, not sure, she was aggressive, she was loud, she wouldn't accept it, and he pushed her. But I'd like to get the exact wording.
So I told her that you need to understand that you did me wrong too. She said, so what? I pushed her. She swung first. I swung back. We fought.
Okay, so after you pushed her, after you put your hands on her, according to you, she swung at you.
Correct.
Okay, well, you didn't expect her to give you a kiss after you pushed her.
No.
All right, Ms. Buhlman, I'm looking at your complaint, and your complaint is seeking $6,000 in damages. Well, you already have, according to you, that money invested in the car, which he got back. So you are entitled to that. And since that's the extent of your claim against the defendant, I'm granting your petition in the amount of $6,000. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished here. Thank you.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
There were a lot of factors going on, I believe, just between both of us.
I'm just more than grateful to finally get this over with. I've been waiting too long and
Just a lot, I think, that I had to work on, too.
fighting for it and put so much work and time into it.
A lot of the things that were going on in my head was me being depressed, having to deal with a lot of what was going on in the world at the same time, too.
Well, he was like trying on makeup and stuff when we were together, and I was showing him how to do makeup, and I was being very supportive and just telling him, you should get help, go get a therapist.
I felt like she was pushing me away.
And I don't know why he felt the other way around, because
We just both go our separate ways, and we both just try and be happy. And
I didn't know what to do, and what I was doing I thought was supportive.
That must have been a very difficult breakup for both of them after being together for a significant number of years. But that's tip number one of Judy Justice is never put your hands on someone. And tip number two, never purchase property, dogs, cars, timeshares with someone who's not your legal partner or without a contract. I mean, we've seen this time and time again.
Those people who don't follow that advice have kept me in business for 27 years.
We'll keep telling them that.
You're right.
মাছ কাটার ভিডিও করতেছেন নাকি অনলাইনে ছাড়ে আচ্ছা ওইদিকে অনেক মাছ কাটাটা সুন্দর হয় আপনার মাছ কাটার যে এমন একজন আছে এক দুজনের মাছ কাটার সুন্দর হ্যাঁ ওই যে এত জমিদের মতো একদম মাঝে মাঝে একটু এলে আসে না এই হয় সেই হয় মানে এগুলো খাইতে অনেক সামরা উঠে দিতে সময় লাগবে ওদের সব সামরা উঠে নেবে উঠে লাগা বেশি মোটা আছে দেখবে যে মেয়েদের